Chapter 4399. Wu Machan had Dragon Emperor, level Divine Dragon Blood Essence, and was at the first level of the rebirth state. His Dragon Emperor Blood Essence was at the second level, which was equivalent to Dragon Emperor Yan's level. However, compared to Dragon Emperor Yan, he was weaker in terms of cultivation level. After all, he was still too young. Even if he had enough cultivation resources, it would be difficult for his cultivation level to increase rapidly while absorbing the Dragon Mark's energy. It was already pretty good for him to reach the first level of the rebirth state. Most importantly, Dragon Emperor, level Inheritance Blood Essence was extremely rare. To the students of the Dragon Martial Academy, was it better to go out and earn experience points to increase their cultivation level, or to stay in the academy and absorb the Dragon Mark's energy? This was a dilemma. Many people felt that the most important thing was to raise the grade of the Divine Dragon Blood Essence. Therefore, there were quite a number of Dragon Martial Artist students who had joined the Dragon Martial Academy for dozens of years, but they only had Dragon King level Inheritance Blood Essence. Furthermore, their cultivation levels were not very high, and they could not afford to exchange for the Origin Dragon Martial Technique. They only wanted to reach the level of Dragon Emperor one day. That way they could start improving in other areas. Unfortunately, if they were real geniuses, they could easily earn experience points in between absorbing the Dragon Mark's energy instead of working behind closed doors. However, if they were students with mediocre talent, it would not be easy for them to forcefully increase the grade of the Divine Dragon Blood Essence. They would usually need to spend 10, 20, or even 30 years to break through to the level of Dragon Emperor before cultivating other things. Kong Shinmu was not like that. Furthermore, none of the students that Kong Shinmu knew were like that. Strength was the most important after all. If they chose to focus on increasing the grade of the Divine Dragon Blood Essence, they would be very weak before they truly broke through to the level of Dragon Emperor. They would not even be able to enter the Kaiyang district and could only stay in the Alcade district. Furthermore, the increase in cultivation level would increase the speed of absorbing the Dragon Mark's energy. Therefore, it was best to use both hands. Without a doubt, the Rocky Destiny Dragon and Wu Machan had been promoted together. They were elites of the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy's Fecta region, and had been in the Dragon Martial Academy for at least 10 to 20 years. Generally speaking, it was impossible to see the Dragon Emperor, who was only at the first stage of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm, in the outside world. Any Dragon Emperor would at least be at the 7th level of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm. This was because the advancement of the Divine Dragon's Blood Essence was too slow in the outside world. Dragon Martial Artists would have to work hard for at least a few decades, and at the same time they would be training in the outside world. How could they be like the students of the Dragon Martial Academy and not raise their cultivation realm? Therefore, when they reached the advanced stage of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm, they would naturally accumulate enough Dragon Mark energy to reach the level of the Dragon Emperor's Divine Dragon Blood Essence. Generally speaking, there were still some ways for the powerhouses of the outside world to obtain treasures of heaven and earth that contained the energy of the Dragon Mark. As long as one's talent was sufficient, the grade of the Divine Dragon's Blood Essence could still reach the level of the Dragon Emperor. At this moment, Wu Machan had transformed into a Boulder Fate Dragon. It was the Boulder Fate Dragon that Kong Shinmu was familiar with. That incomparably thick Divine Dragon body carried an incomparably steady and vast aura as it swept towards the tyrannical middle-rank Demon General. All kinds of Source Dragon martial techniques were unleashed one after another. That middle-rank Demon General was also very strong. Demonic Qi surged all over his body, filling the entire place with demonic Qi and exploding within the protective barrier. Wu Machan, who had transformed into a Boulder Fate Dragon, seemed to be able to deal with this middle-rank Demon General with ease. Even though the entire place was filled with pitch-black demonic Qi, it did not affect him at all. On the contrary, many spectators from the Dragon Martial Academy in the Alcade district were stunned by the aura of the demonic Qi. Of course, Kong Shinmu would not be intimidated by his opponent. To be honest, such a battle was still a distance away from the level of the Dragon Emperor. Of course, this was not an existence that the current Kong Shinmu could deal with. A middle-rank Demon General is indeed very strong. The current me is still not a match for a Demon General. Even a low-rank Demon General has exceeded the limit of my devouring power. I can at most deal with a middle-rank Demon Spirit. That is already my limit. Right now, Kong Shinmu was at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. Logically speaking, with this cultivation realm, ordinary students could only stay obediently in the Alcade district. After all, Kong Shinmu's Divine Dragon Blood was only at the 6th level of the Dragon King. However, his battle prowess could indeed reach the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. He was about the same as Xiao Yuhua and the girl in the white dress, or even stronger than them. If it was Xiao Yuhua and the girl in the white dress, with their strength, even if they were to fight against the 2nd level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm, they would still be able to contend against the 2nd level of the Dragon King. After all, the gap between them was too great. Otherwise, they would be able to defeat an opponent who was 3 levels above them. As for Kong Shin-mu, he was amazing. He could defeat an opponent who was 1 level above him. He was at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, and he could fight against a 6th level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm. Of course, this was under the situation where the divine dragon blood was of the same grade and they were all Dragon King. This was not only because of the devouring power, but also because when he broke through to the 5th and 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, he had condensed the Nirvana power, allowing the devouring power to reach the standard of the 8th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. Moreover, his dragon-marked blood pendant allowed his devouring power to possess the characteristics of the rebirth power in advance, which was to devour power for his own use. Otherwise, Kong Shin-mu would never consider dealing with a middle-ranked devil spirit even if he was beaten to death. All these circumstances combined allowed Kong Shin-mu to possess his current strength, which was not something that anyone could do. To be honest, it was already quite good that Chu Qingyun could lead a team to kill a lower-ranked devil spirit at the 3rd level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm from a noob. After all, Chu Qingyun was only at the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. For students at the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm joined forces and killed a void devil that was 3 levels above them. This result was already very good, and only the students of the Dragon Martial Academy could do it. If it was a dragon martial artist from the outside world, they could forget about it. They wouldn't even have the possibility of injuring a 3rd level Rebirth Tribulation realm opponent. As everyone watched, Wu Machun fought with great difficulty. She unleashed several powerful dragon martial skills and finally heavily injured the middle-ranked devil general. Even after the middle-ranked devil general was heavily injured, Wu Machun had to use several powerful dragon martial skills to finally kill the middle-ranked devil general. These void devils had extremely strong vitality. They were different from the dragon martial artists that Kong Shin-mu had seen before. Chapter 4400. Kong Shin-mu squinted his eyes. Currently, the dragon warriors did not cultivate the body-refining dragon martial technique. It seemed very reasonable, but in reality, it seemed that they were all somewhat weak. In Kong Shin-mu's opinion, a strong physical body was true strength. Of course, everyone had their own understanding. In any case, Kong Shin-mu felt that the body-refining dragon martial technique was much stronger than the defensive dragon martial technique. After all, after cultivating the body-refining dragon martial technique, the physical body would forever become stronger. As for the defensive dragon martial technique, it could only have a defensive effect after it was actively used. Once it was sneak attacked, or if the opponent's speed was too fast, there would be no defensive effect at all. For example, when Ran, Liang Xiao, and the others were fighting against the void demonic creature, once the void demonic creature was too fast, Liang Xiao and the others couldn't even use their defensive dragon martial skills, and all of them were in danger. If not for Ran helping them block it, they would not have been able to withstand 5 moves from the lower-ranked devil soldier. It was also because of this that none of the other teams in the Xueqi district cultivated the body-refining dragon martial technique. This also caused the other teams in the Xueqi district to find it difficult to reach this level. Usually, when they joined hands to use the defensive dragon martial technique and used the defensive barrier to block the lower-ranked devil soldier's attack, they would not be able to withstand 2 or 3 moves. The experience points this time can be exchanged for a high-level body-refining dragon martial technique. Kong Shin-mu was looking forward to it. After Wu Machun killed the middle-ranked devil general, Kong Shin-mu went to observe 2 more battles. They were the battles between the students of the Migres district and the Yuhing district. In the Migres zone, there was a dragon monarch expert at the 1st level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm. However, he was slightly weaker than Wu Machun. He even failed to challenge a lower-ranked devil general at the 3rd level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm, and almost died at the hands of that lower-ranked devil general. This Dragon Emperor student's cultivation of the dragon martial technique was not very good. It was possible that he was the kind of person who managed to break through to the Dragon Emperor with great difficulty with his divine dragon blood essence. Therefore, his combat strength was slightly weaker than Wu Machun. Looks like that Wu Machun is quite strong. Kong Shin-mu thought. He had imitated the aura of the Boulder Fate Dragon from the start, but he didn't feel much of it back then. Now, it seemed that Wu Machun wasn't weak. No wonder she dared to go to a place like the Beast Abyss alone. However, they were only students from the Fekta zone. Above them were the Merak and Dubhi districts, which had a total of 10 students. The 4 Dragon Martial Academies had a total of 40 students, and they were all stronger than Wu Machun. No matter how strong Wu Machun was, she would only be ranked outside the top 40. When I was watching the academy competition, I found that the core students of the Heaven Center district were already as strong as Dragon Emperor Yen, or even stronger than Dragon Emperor Yen. But compared to Mentor Dragon Emperor, there's still a certain gap. It seems that those who can reach the 5th level of Dragon Emperor Blood Essence will become Dragon Emperor's mentor, and not stay in the Dragon Martial Academy as a student. And Dragon Emperor's mentor doesn't seem to have a time limit. As long as they can reach the 5th level of Dragon Emperor Blood Essence, they can stay in the Dragon Martial Academy as long as they want. Kong Shinmu thought. Although they had broken through to the 1st level of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm, the key was that the inferior Devil Soldier was only equivalent to the inheritance blood essence of a holy dragon. And these students of the Yuhing district were all Dragon King. This 5-man team from the South Deity Dragon Martial Academy fought seamlessly. One person defended, 2 focused on offense, and the other 2 supported from the side. They cooperated extremely well. That Wind Attribute Divine Dragon had abilities similar to Ran Ran. Of course, it only had the ability to break through the Wind Death Dragon Tornado that she cultivated. It could control the power of the Wind attribute and control the entire battlefield. It could slow down the opponent, speed up the teammate, and so on. It could also obstruct and interfere when the inferior Devil Soldier wanted to attack. It was extremely effective. As for that Light Attribute Divine Dragon, it seemed to cultivate a defensive Dragon Martial technique. At the same time, there was a portion of the Dragon Martial technique that had the ability to heal other Dragon Martial artists. However, this Divine Dragon's healing Dragon Martial technique did not seem to be very effective. In any case, it was completely incomparable to Kong Shinmu's devouring power and the Dark Dragon Art of Filth Mastery. Of course, in such a 5-man team, it was already very good to have such a teammate who could do their own job. The 5 of them were not thought highly of at the beginning. After all, they were a team of 5. If they were so cowardly, it could be seen that each of them was relatively weak. But soon, everyone realized that they were completely wrong. This 5-man team's battle prowess was actually extremely strong when they joined forces. They killed 3 low-level Devil Soldiers along the way, and then began to challenge the middle-level Devil Soldiers. Even when facing the middle-level Devil Soldier at the 4th level of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm, they did not show the slightest bit of fear. They maintained their own battle rhythm. Although they were caught off guard by the middle-level Devil Soldier at the beginning and suffered some injuries, they quickly adjusted and completely trapped the middle-level Devil Soldier. They constantly suffered violent attacks and were defeated in almost an hour, completely beaten into a pile of mush. Next was to deal with the middle-level Devil Soldier at the 5th level of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm. After all, Devil Soldiers were only equivalent to Dragon Martial Artists at the Sacred Dragon level. It was still somewhat difficult to face the 5-man team from the Yuhing district at the level of Dragon King. Even the middle-level Devil Soldier at the 5th level of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm was dragged to death by this 5-man team. Next was the middle-level Devil Soldier at the 6th level of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm. Next, they faced the 2nd-level Reincarnation Tribulation Realm Inferior Devil Spirit. They finally faced the Devil Spirit, and this Devil Spirit's cultivation realm was 2 levels higher than theirs. Most importantly, one of them was the transformation of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm, so the difficulty wasn't small. And such an inferior Devil Spirit was enough for the 5-man team to attach great importance to. But to Kong Shinmu, he could single-handedly finish off such an inferior Devil Spirit. Of course, the prerequisite was that the inferior Devil Spirit wasn't particularly good at defense. Otherwise, Kong Shinmu wouldn't be able to kill the other party with his own strength. He devoured the other party's strength and methods to counterattack. If the other party only knew how to defend, he really couldn't do anything. Anyway, with his current attack power, he couldn't kill an opponent of this level. This was why he formed a team with Xiao Yuhua and the young lady in white. If Kong Shinmu's attacks were strong enough, he could challenge it alone. Of course, he could also try to challenge stronger void monsters now. With the help of Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl, they would definitely be stronger than him alone. These 2 girls were not the kind of people who would drag him down. Instead, They were people who could erupt with terrifying power in battle and could be of help. In the arena, the 5-man team from the South Deity Dragon Martial Academy faced inferior devil spirit with strong defense. They spent a lot of effort to finally kill this inferior devil spirit, and almost everyone was exhausted. They decided to rest for a while before continuing the battle. And this was also allowed by the rules. If the 5 of them wanted to fully recover their strength, they had to rest for at least 4 hours. Therefore, other students were allowed to challenge them during this period. Let's go. Kong Shinmu already had some understanding of the various abilities of the void monsters, so it was about time for him to go. If the 5-man team needed to rest for 4 hours, it would be enough for Kong Shinmu to challenge all the way to the intermediate devil spirit. And this would be enough for him to complete the bet and collect Chu Qingyun's great desolate demon vanquishing sword. When Kong Shinmu flew up to the arena with Xiao Yuhua and the young lady in white, the surrounding students from the Dragon Martial Academy all looked over. The tortoise finally dares to stick its head out of its shell. Chu Qingyun coldly sneered. Not too far away, he and his 3 teammates stared at Jiang Shenwu's back as if they were looking at a walking heaven-step dragon weapon. In his opinion, it was impossible for Kong Shinmu to kill a Rebirth Realm 4th level devil spirit. The devil spirit was originally equivalent to the Dragon King's divine dragon's blood essence, and the 4th level Rebirth Realm was 7 or 8 levels higher than Kong Shinmu, which was a major gap. This made almost no one believe that Kong Shinmu could defeat a 4th level devil spirit. This was because even the 9th stage of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm Dragon King was already at his limit against the 2nd or 3rd stage of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm. Even if they formed a small team, it would only make it slightly easier for them, but it would not allow them to defeat stronger opponents. One had to know that the physical defense of the void monsters was very strong. If they encountered a void monster with strong defense, then let alone a team of 3 or 5, it would be useless even if more people the same level came, because they would not be able to hurt that void monster at all. Chu Qingyun thought so, and so did the 3 teammates behind him. Chapter 4402. It's the Jiang Shenwu whose name has spread like wildfire. The 5-man team from South Deity Dragon Martial Academy, who had just come down from the arena to rest, saw that someone couldn't wait to go up while they were resting. After all, their performance was not bad. Although they had more people than the other teams, to be able to fight to this extent was not something an ordinary team from Yuhing District could do. And at this moment, Jiang Shenwu, whose name had spread like wildfire, had brought 2 beautiful female students from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy onto the stage. Moreover, he had made a bet with Chu Qingyun, saying that he would defeat a 4th level Samsara Realm Devil Spirit. This goal made the 5-man team from South Deity Dragon Martial Academy feel a little incredulous. They had just killed a 2nd-tier inferior devil spirit, and they already felt that it was extremely difficult. That was with 5 of them, and they barely managed to grind the tortoise-like inferior devil spirit to death. And now, Kong Shinmu was about to go up with 2 beauties, saying that he would defeat a 4th-tier intermediate devil spirit. Who would be optimistic about them? This Kong Shinmu is a talent. I heard that he defected from Donghuang Yonggu College because he got help from the top disciple of Donghuang Yonggu College, Yu Tianchong. Now that he's at Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, he actually has 2 beauties behind him. He's quite lucky with women. This kid looks like he's only 15 or 16 years old, right? Don't think of him as a pervert, okay? Hee. What does a man's lust have to do with his age? Many people were discussing and pointing at Kong Shinmu and the other 2. If Kong Shinmu heard this last sentence, he would definitely tell him very seriously that a man's lust had nothing to do with his age. Anyway, it wasn't that Kong Shinmu had no feelings for beauties, but he didn't have the mood to think about such matters between men and women. When he grew up in the future, he probably wouldn't focus on this. The most important thing for a dragon martial artist was destined to be strength. And the person who said this was probably addicted to beauty, and it was very likely that he couldn't extricate himself, placing beauty in a more important position than improving strength. What kind of person was what they were when they looked at others? Of course, Kong Shinmu was too lazy to care about what the people around him were saying. He went on stage to prove to Zhou Xiaofeng that after he left Donghuang Yonggu College, not only did he not stop improving, he improved even faster. He brought the 2 girls onto the stage and flew outside the barrier. Do your best. The dean has high hopes for the 3 of you. Mentor Dragon Emperor came up to Kong Shinmu and said with a smile, I've heard about the bet between you and Chu Qingyun. How about this? As long as you can win the great desolate demon sweeping sword from him, I will personally give you some rewards. You can have anything you want. Her words were very tempting. Looking at her proud and alluring figure, the thin dragon emperor from the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy could not help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Thank you, Senior, Kong Shinmu said in a deep voice. He wasn't happy at all because this was what he wanted to achieve in the first place. Without a doubt, this was the reward that belonged to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. Looking at how calm Kong Shinmu was, the beautiful Dragon Emperor was a little surprised. However, she didn't show it on her face. Instead, she smiled and said to Kong Shinmu, "Then you guys can go on stage. Remember to be careful. If you can't win, don't force yourself." Understood. Kong Shinmu nodded. Xiao Yuhua and the girl in the white dress also nodded. They definitely wouldn't force themselves. If Kong Shinmu couldn't win, they would definitely call for a forfeit immediately. After all, Kong Shinmu's defense was much stronger than theirs. If even Kong Shinmu couldn't win, then they definitely wouldn't go up and try. They teamed up with Kong Shinmu to kill the enemy. And what they were interested in was Kong Shinmu's strong defense, which was like a tortoise shell. As long as Kong Shinmu was around, they would feel a strong sense of security. They understood that as long as Kong Shinmu was still in front of them, they wouldn't be threatened. Unless, the opponent was much stronger than them. Now that they were challenging void demons, they would choose opponents that were within their capabilities. Of course, they wouldn't encounter opponents that were much stronger than them. The three of them went on stage. "Demonic soldier, let's begin," Kong Shinmu said in a deep voice. Then, the three of them instantly transformed into dragon martial artists. Kong Shinmu's black dragon body took the lead, exuding a dark and terrifying suppressive aura as he appeared within the protective barrier. Xiao Yuhua transformed into a blood-red divine dragon, while the girl in the white dress transformed into a white divine dragon. All three of them were the inheritors of the Dragon King's blood essence that were more than 500 feet long. Their auras were rather powerful. Kong Shinmu, who had the lowest cultivation level, looked the most imposing. He directly stood in front of the two girls, waiting for his opponent to arrive. Xiao Yuhua was on the left, while the girl in the white dress was on the right. The two girls were accumulating their strength, ready to attack the moment an opponent appeared. First opponent, a demonic soldier at the first level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm. Kong Shinmu couldn't even be bothered to move. However, since he was going on stage, he definitely had to start from the weakest. He treated it as a warm-up exercise. Very quickly, a demonic soldier appeared in front of them and was placed within the protective barrier. This demonic soldier had just appeared and seemed to want to size up the strength of Kong Shinmu and company. However, what it did not expect was that Kong Shinmu had directly unleashed the extreme Shadow Flowing Lights dragon martial skill and charged towards it at an extremely fast speed. The demonic soldier jumped in fright and immediately became incomparably ferocious. It had never met a little fellow, at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, who was so bold as to attack it. Although it looked to be over 1,000 feet long and was 4 to 5 times smaller than the black dragon that Kong Shinmu had transformed into, it was a powerful existence at the Rebirth Tribulation realm. Immediately, the inferior demon soldier unleashed a burst of power towards Jiang Shenwu, who was attacking him. If it was an ordinary dragon martial artist, they would definitely stop and use a defensive dragon martial skill. However, Kong Shinmu was not an ordinary dragon martial artist. Facing the pitch-black storm that erupted from the demonic soldier's body, not only did Kong Shinmu not use any defensive dragon martial skill, he acted as if he had not seen anything. His black dragon body directly crashed into the violent pitch-black storm. Wow! Outside the arena, many people exclaimed in surprise. They rarely saw such a battle style. Was he going to fight a void demonic creature in close combat? Before they could stop their exclamations, a heaven-splitting ice slash followed. The power of Nirvana ice descended from the sky and transformed into a long saber, directly slicing the demonic soldier into pieces. Like a hot knife through butter. Chapter 4403. The scene of the heaven-splitting ice slash cutting through the lower-ranked demon soldiers shocked many people around them. Wasn't this too strong? He directly rushed up and finished it off in one move. Even if it was a Yuhing district student who defeated a demon soldier, there was no need to be so decisive, right? Generally speaking, Yuhing district students would be more cautious when they first went up. It was impossible for them to use their strongest moves right off the bat. Otherwise, how would they fight later on? But this time, Kong Shinmu did not seem to use any tricks. He just rushed over and used his divine dragon body to block the attack of the inferior demon soldier. Then, the white divine dragon behind him slashed out with the ice-splitting sky-splitting slash, completely killing the inferior demon soldier. The crowd cheered loudly, but they were not optimistic about Kong Shinmu's team. Next, Kong Shinmu was calm and expressionless. To him, the inferior demon soldier was too weak. Not to mention the inferior demon soldier, Kong Shinmu had killed many opponents at the level of the inferior demon spirit. Therefore, the inferior demon soldier and the intermediate demon soldier were just appetizers in his eyes. Immediately after, an inferior demon soldier at the second level of the rebirth tribulation realm came up. This inferior demon soldier was definitely not weak and was even proficient in illusory techniques. As the boundless demonic aura enshrouded it, it tried to pull Kong Shinmu into an illusion. The pitch-black divine dragon that Jiang Shenwu had transformed into swept forward, completely ignoring the other party's illusions. Although the black dragon's consciousness was temporarily in a state of slumber, it was still impossible for it to be affected by the illusions. Seeing this, the inferior demon soldier planned to attack Kong Shinmu, but then, ice-splitting sky-splitting slash. The terrifying cold ice blade swept across once again, slicing the inferior demon soldier into pieces. Next, Kong Shinmu was quite satisfied with the white-dressed girl's cooperation. This girl's strength was not ordinary and she was decisive. To deal with these inferior demon soldiers, they should be killed with one strike. The next one was a third-tier reincarnation demon soldier. However, when he encountered Kong Shinmu's team, he was instantly killed by the frost blade. The three low-level demon soldiers all ended up like this. The low-level demon soldiers launched 3 attacks on Kong Shinmu, but none of them could break through Kong Shinmu's physical defenses. At this time, everyone knew that Kong Shinmu had cultivated a body-refining dragon-type martial skill. This caused them to look down on Jiang Shenwu. The defensive effect of a body-refining type dragon martial skill could not be compared to a defensive type dragon martial skill in the end. A defensive type dragon martial skill of the same level would have a much stronger defensive ability than a body-refining type dragon martial skill. Kong Shinmu had cultivated a powerful body-refining dragon martial technique, so it was impossible for him to cultivate a powerful defensive dragon martial technique. This was a common understanding, at least for young dragon martial artists. They did not have enough resources to cultivate a variety of dragon martial techniques. In any case, many people felt that Kong Shinmu's defense could only reach this level. If he encountered a stronger opponent, he would definitely not be able to withstand it. Next, middle-level demon soldier. Such an opponent could be said to be a watershed. To ordinary Yuhing district teams, many would fall at the hands of a middle-level demon soldier. After all, the middle-level demon soldier was a powerful existence at the 4th to 6th tier of the reincarnation tribulation realm. Although it was only equivalent to the inheritance blood essence of a holy dragon, the suppression of cultivation realm was enough to make an ordinary Yuhing district team suffer. Therefore, everyone watched the situation of Kong Shinmu's team with interest, wanting to see how they would deal with the middle-level demon soldier. It was a pity. Heaven-splitting ice slash. The white-dressed girl still exploded with a tyrannical dragon origin martial skill, sweeping towards the middle-level demon soldier that was constantly attacking Kong Shinmu. This time, the middle-level demon soldier's defense was stronger, and the heaven-splitting ice slash could not kill it. But immediately after, Wanhua Buyu River Crimson erupted. Such a dragon origin martial skill erupted, and the entire field was filled with blood red. A terrifying power surged into the middle-level demon soldier's body, causing it to explode and die instantly. Against an opponent like a middle-level demon soldier, Kong Shinmu and the other two had long killed it together. During the Frost Dragon Emperor dynasty, they had killed a wandering dragon martial artist of similar strength. And now, all of their strength had increased. Jiang Shenwu had improved the most. As for the girl in the white dress and Xiao Yuhua, they had also improved by quite a bit. Among them, Xiao Yuhua had broken through to the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, while the girl in the white dress had a more precise control over her strength. The same ice-rending heaven slash was able to accurately attack the opponent's vital points. Furthermore, her more refined control over her strength allowed her ice-rending heaven slash to erupt with even more destructive power. Both she and Xiao Yuhua's strength had increased by about 50%. At least at the middle-level demon soldier level, they could still keep up. The strength of their attacks was seen by many of the surrounding dragon martial artists. They couldn't help but sigh. The strength of these two girls' attacks was already comparable to some of the students in the Migres area. Although the grade of the divine dragon's blood essence was not as high as that of the Dragon Emperor, their strength was not weak. Compared to them, this Kong Shin Mu seems to be just a bystander. With these two beauties assisting in the attack, even I can go on the field and directly reach the level of the devil spirit. That's right, that's right. This Kong Shin Mu is purely a hooligan. Many students began to discuss in private. Until now, other than blocking the attacks of the demon soldiers, Kong Shin Mu had not shown any means at all. This made the other dragon martial artists not think highly of Kong Shin Mu. It seems that they have no problem dealing with the middle-level demon soldiers, but when they deal with the low-level devil spirit, the problem will begin to show. That's right. With the shortcoming of Kong Shin Mu, it will be too difficult for these two girls to defeat the low-level devil spirit. This Kong Shin Mu is actually leading the team. I wonder what kind of bewitching drug he used to bewitch these two beauties? Who knows? This Kong Shin Mu has always seemed to be very popular with women. But today, he dared to bet with Chu Qingyun that he could deal with the middle-level devil spirit. What a joke. Everyone was discussing. In the battle just now, they could not see anything special about Kong Shin Mu. After all, not everyone was familiar with Kong Shin Mu's fighting style. A low-level demon soldier at the 5th level of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm. After being blocked by Kong Shin Mu, the two girls were easily killed. A low-level demon soldier at the 6th level of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm was an opponent with extremely strong attack power. The moment it appeared, it brought with it endless killing intent. However, its attacks bombarded Kong Shin Mu's divine dragon body, but it was almost like an itch. It did not leave a single scar. Chapter 4404. After these 6 battles, everyone had a better understanding of the strength of Kong Shin Mu's team. They originally thought that Kong Shin Mu's methods were too weak, but their opinions changed slightly when they were dealing with the 6th Reincarnation Realm Fiend Soldier. After all, it was obviously a Fiend Soldier with strong offensive abilities. In the end, its all-out attack could not do anything to Kong Shin Mu. Even when Kong Shin Mu's divine dragon body flew in front of it, it could not break through Kong Shin Mu's defense. These 6 battles were fought as smoothly as flowing water. In total, they took less than an hour. Many people couldn't help but sigh. These 3 people were really too strong. Although the 2 female dragon warriors had more eye-catching performances, without Kong Shin Mu's defense in front of them, they could not kill their opponents so easily. Not only did Kong Shin Mu resist the opponent's attack, but he also played a role in restraining them. After the opponent's fiend soldiers were restrained by Kong Shin Mu, it was obviously much easier for the 2 girls to attack again. It was also difficult for the opponent to escape under Kong Shin Mu's restraint. Everyone thought that these 6 battles were almost a performance and had no meaning. But only Kong Shin Mu knew. He had devoured the demonic aura of many fiend soldiers in these 6 battles. The nature of this power was somewhat similar to the dark attribute, but it was not the same kind of power. It was not even a power of any attribute. It was a unique power. However, the devouring power did not disappoint Kong Shin Mu. No matter what kind of power it was, it could always devour it and then strengthen Kong Shin Mu's resistance to this power. Heaven Stage Chaos Dragon Body. In addition, Kong Shin Mu had been devouring the fiend soldier's demonic aura for 6 consecutive battles. This made Kong Shin Mu's resistance to the power of the fiend soldiers reach its peak. Even if it was a powerful fiend spirit that exceeded him by a major realm, he could still resist the opponent's attack. Kong Shin Mu's black divine dragon looked darker than usual. This was because he had devoured the demonic aura and there was demonic aura wrapped around the surface of his divine dragon body. Next, low-rank fiend spirit. Kong Shin Mu said in a deep voice. If not for devouring the power of the demonic aura, Kong Shin Mu could not be bothered to fight the first 6 battles and would directly challenge the low-rank fiend spirit. But now, he had a higher chance of challenging the low-rank fiend spirit. In any case, Jiang Shenwu would not underestimate any opponent, even if it was just a low-rank demon spirit. No one knew what kind of tricks these void demons had up their sleeves. If he encountered a difficult opponent, it would be very uncomfortable. Therefore, now that Jiang Shenwu had devoured the demonic energy of 6 battles in a row, his resistance to demonic energy had reached its peak. Only then did he challenge the inferior demon spirit. This was much safer. When the low-rank fiend spirit appeared, all the dragon martial artists outside the arena focused their attention. Even some of the students who did not care and were focused on healing opened their eyes now, wanting to see how Kong Shinmu and the other two would deal with the low-rank fiend spirit. This is a low-rank fiend spirit at the second level of the rebirth tribulation realm. When a 4,000 to 5,000 feet long void demonic creature appeared within the protective barrier, everyone was excited. This low-rank fiend spirit seems to be most proficient in defense. It's very durable. Not bad, it's the type with thick skin and flesh. This type of void demonic creature is the most difficult to deal with. At least, it's not easy for dragon martial artists of the same level to hurt it. Many people started discussing. In the arena, the expressions of Kong Shinmu and the other two didn't change. For them, no matter what type of opponent it was, this low-rank fiend spirit at the second level of the rebirth tribulation realm was easy to deal with. This low-rank fiend spirit was only 2 levels higher than the white-dressed girl and Xiao Yuhua. Although it was a major realm higher, its strength was not to the extent that they could not deal with it. Let's go! Without any hesitation, Kong Shinmu directly used the Void Dragon Sky Raising Break. This was the first time he used an offensive dragon-type martial skill, or rather, the first time he used a dragon-type martial skill. However, the strength of his dragon-type martial skill looked very weak. Of course, with his powerful Void Dragon Sky Raising Break, if he were to use it on the Dragon Martial Continent, it would be enough to crush most dragon martial artists of the same level. However, everyone present was a student of the Dragon Martial Academy. To these dragon martial artists, a low-level Void Dragon Sky Raising Break was nothing. Almost everyone knew it, and even if they cultivated it to the heaven tier, its strength would not be that great. That was why Kong Shinmu was in such a situation now. Among the offensive dragon-type martial skills that he cultivated, this was the strongest move. However, in the eyes of the Dragon Martial Academy students of this level, it was nothing. Therefore, when they saw Kong Shinmu use the Void Dragon Sky Raising Break, the surrounding dragon martial artists were all mocking him. Wasn't this too weak? Any of the Yuhing district students present would not be weaker than Kong Shinmu in terms of attack power. With such a standard, he dared to say that he could kill a middle-level devil spirit and win the great desolate demon sweeping sword from Chu Qingyun? That was a joke. However, Jiang Shinwu's attack was followed by Xiao Yuhua's and the white-dressed girl's attacks. Blood red and ice white, 2 different colors, brazenly shattered the surrounding pitch-black demonic aura, and then landed on the body of the second-level reincarnation tribulation realm's inferior devil spirit. In the next moment, a terrifying power exploded on the body of the Void Devil. However, the demonic aura on the Void Devil's body was vast and mighty, forming an extremely powerful defensive barrier. The barrier stood in front of them, preventing their attacks from breaking through. It could even be said that it did not budge at all. It's over. It looks like they won't be able to win against this defense-type devil spirit. If this continues, it will be very difficult for the 3 of them to break the defense of the devil spirit. Many people's expressions changed slightly. Some were gloating, while others felt that it was a pity. For example, the 5-man team from the South Deity Dragon Martial Academy was also at the second tier of the Rebirth Tribulation realm. When they encountered a defense-type void demonic creature, they had to expend a lot of effort to wear it down. The combined attack power of the 5 of them would definitely surpass that of Xiao Yuhua and the girl in the white dress. As for Kong Shinmu, his attack power was nothing to the others. That Void Dragon Raising Heaven break was not even enough to tickle that inferior devil soul. The demonic aura barrier was like a natural moat in front of Kong Shinmu and the other 2. Chapter 4405. Kong Shinmu did have such an ability. His devouring innate ability could help his own people recover their strength, life force, and even heal injuries. All he needed to do was to consume a few monster cores of monster beasts. This was nothing to him. He had killed many insects and demon beasts in the desert near the ancient Nethersea path and harvested many demon cores, which he kept. These demon cores were not valuable, so he kept them for his own use to recover his strength and heal injuries at critical moments. Now it was the right time. When challenging void monsters, there was no rule that stated that one could not use medicinal pills or other enhancement items. After all, in a real battle with void monsters, it did not matter what method one used, as long as they could kill the void monsters, it did not matter. Therefore, Kong Shinmu's devouring of demon cores was not against the rules. Following that, Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl joined forces and launched a barrage of attacks on the inferior devil spirit. Terrifying energy poured down in torrents. The defense of void demons is also divided into two types. One is the physical defense. Generally speaking, void demons' physical defense is not weak, but the body of the second type of lesser demon spirit is not so strong that we can't break it. The second type is the demonic chi defense barrier like this lesser demon spirit. This might be some kind of a martial technique that void demons cultivate, condensing demonic chi into a defensive barrier to block attacks against themselves. This is easier to deal with, much easier than those that purely rely on physical defense. Since it cultivates a defensive martial technique, then the physical defense of this lesser demon spirit can't be too strong. This is the same logic as us dragon warriors. In other words, as long as we break through this guy's defense barrier, we can easily kill him. Kong Shinmu could already see the result of this battle. The strength of this lesser demon spirit was about the same. As long as Xiao Yuhua and the girl in white attacked consecutively, it would be enough to break through the opponent's defense barrier. As for the energy consumed, there was no need to care. While Kong Shinmu was guarding against the sneak attack of the inferior devil spirit, he began to devour the demon cores in his body with his devouring power, transforming the power of these demon cores into pure heaven and earth spiritual chi, which was then swept into the divine dragon bodies of Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl. They had been fighting for so long and had consumed a lot of energy. However, as Kong Shinmu's devouring power entered their bodies, they felt their energy recovering at an unprecedented speed. This speed of recovery simply shocked them. Wasn't the effect a little too good? Kong Shinmu actually had such a special ability. Without worrying about their energy consumption, the two women's attacks suddenly became fiercer. The lesser demon spirit was not in a completely passive state of defense. Every time it tried to find an opportunity to launch a sneak attack, it was a pity that this lesser demon spirit was too cumbersome and not fast enough. Every time it launched an attack, it was directly blocked by Kong Shinmu's divine dragon body, unable to break through. The lesser demon spirit could see that Kong Shinmu's attack was not strong, but his defense was very strong. It wanted to kill Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl, but Kong Shinmu stood in front of it, and it could not break through at all. Finally, after the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the devil chi barrier outside the lesser demon spirit was shattered. Immediately afterward, even Kong Shinmu burst out with the void dragon sky raising break. Although the attack was not too strong, it was better than nothing. Together with the attacks of Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl, they attacked the lesser demon spirit together. Terrifying energy erupted in an instant, directly blasting the body of the lesser demon spirit, leaving a series of wounds. These injuries weren't too serious, but the next wave of attacks came. Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl did not let up after gaining the upper hand. As if they had fallen into a frenzy, they kept attacking one after another. Under the situation where they did not consider energy consumption, the intensity of the attacks that they could erupt was simply shocking. Even some reincarnation tribulation realm existences could not squander their energy like they did. Under the horrified gazes of countless people, the two women's continuous attacks actually blasted the lesser devil spirit into pieces. This scene simply subverted everyone's imagination. The 5 students from South Deity Dragon Martial Academy all had their mouths wide open, simply unable to believe it. They should have lost their strength long ago when they attacked like this. Could it be that they took elixir pills? I'm afraid the only possibility is that they took recovery elixir pills. They discussed animatedly and secretly guessed, but no one could have guessed that this was actually Kong Shinmu's innate power method. Taking elixir pills, this is too wasteful. Recovery elixir pills were used to save lives in extreme situations outside, so they were very expensive. They contained a lot of heaven and earth spiritual energy, and could even be used to cultivate and raise one's cultivation realm. Therefore, it was really a waste to simply use it to restore strength, unless it was used to save lives. But now, they were just training against the lesser demon spirit, and they took the recovery elixir pills. If this wasn't a waste, what was? Chapter 4406. When the 500 feet long inferior devil soul appeared, it exuded a dangerous aura. As soon as the pitch-black demonic aura appeared, it spread to the entire area, shrouding the entire protective barrier in a pitch-black color. "Get behind me!" Kong Shinmu said to Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl. Then, in the form of a pitch-black divine dragon, he guarded in front of them. He was constantly paying attention to the movements of the third-tier inferior devil soul. This inferior devil soul was obviously a powerful attack-type devil soul. It exuded a dangerous aura from head to toe, even making people constantly have a sense of despair. Kong Shinmu knew that this was a kind of mental suppression effect. Unfortunately, it had no effect on him. "I'll attack first to attract its attention." Kong Shinmu couldn't let the two women attack first. Once they attacked first, it was likely that the inferior devil soul would target them. With the two women's defensive abilities, it was undoubtedly difficult to deal with such an inferior devil soul. Although it was not that they did not cultivate any defensive dragon martial techniques, they were still not like Jiang Shenwu, who could deal with any attack with ease. Once the opponent's speed was too fast, they might not be able to use their defensive dragon martial techniques in time. That would be tragic. Immediately afterward, Kong Shinmu launched an attack at the inferior devil soul. The void dragon roars the sky condensed 6 black dragon phantoms and bombarded the inferior devil soul with 6 black dragon breath beams. The inferior devil soul easily dodged 4 of the black dragon breaths. The remaining 2 dragon breath beams bombarded the body of the inferior devil soul, but they didn't cause any damage. The inferior devil soul didn't expect Kong Shinmu's attack to be so weak, which made it a little puzzled. But just when it was puzzled, Kong Shinmu's pitch-black divine dragon body had already flown over, making it clear that he wanted to fight it hand-to-hand. This situation enraged the lesser devil spirit. It had never seen a dragon martial artist fight hand-to-hand like this. Wasn't this courting death? The inferior demon spirit's pitch-black demonic aura burst out in an instant, condensing into a pitch-black saber light that slashed straight at Kong Shinmu's pitch-black dragon body. This scene caused many people in the surroundings to break out in cold sweat. As for Chu Qingyun and the others who didn't like Kong Shinmu, they only sneered coldly. Kong Shinmu wanted to rely on the body-refining dragon-type martial technique to resist the full attack of the third-tier inferior devil spirit. I'm afraid he is thinking too much. However, the next moment, everyone's expression stiffened. The pitch-black saber light from the lesser-ranked demon spirit landed on Kong Shinmu's body, but it didn't cause any obvious damage to Kong Shinmu. Even the wound was so shallow that it couldn't be seen clearly if one didn't look carefully. What? Kong Shinmu's physical defense is so strong? Many people's faces changed drastically, including Chu Qingyun. He knew that Kong Shinmu's physical body was powerful, but he didn't expect that in such a short time, Kong Shinmu's physical body was more than twice as strong as before. It's probably 4 or 5 times stronger than when he first left Donghuang Yonggu College. Chu Qingyun was already prepared that Jiang Shenwu's defense would be twice as strong as before, or even 3 times stronger. But the strength of Jiang Shenwu's fleshly body still shocked him. This was even more terrifying than he imagined. Isn't this too exaggerated? He didn't use any defensive dragon-type martial technique to resist the attack of the inferior devil spirit's demonic technique. But soon, everyone's attention was attracted to the scene again. The inferior devil spirit found that its move didn't have any effect. It immediately roared, and the pitch-black demonic aura scattered all over the scene condensed at this moment, turning into dozens of pitch-black saber lights. Each of these dozens of saber lights was stronger than the single saber light just now. Just now, it was just the inferior devil spirit's test against Kong Shinmu. Now it was time for the real attack. The entire field of saber lights completely ignored Xiao Yuhua and the young girl in the white dress, swiftly attacking Jiang Shenwu's location, nearly shattering the void around Jiang Shenwu. The vast and mighty demonic saber lights descended, landing on his body with a loud rumble. The opponent's attack was too fast. Kong Shinmu didn't even have the time to dodge and was hit by these demonic chi saber lights. One can imagine that if these saber lights were to attack Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl, it would be very difficult for them to resist. Of course, at the beginning of the battle, they had already prepared their defensive dragon-type martial technique. Once the opponent attacked them, they could directly release their defensive dragon-type martial technique without needing to gather their strength again. In a situation where they were prepared, it was impossible for the opponent to kill them instantly. Moreover, as long as they resisted for a moment, Kong Shinmu would turn around and help them defend. It could be said that the pressure they faced was very small. At this moment, all the demonic chi saber lights condensed and bombarded Kong Shinmu's body, almost shattering a large part of the void around Kong Shinmu. Everyone's eyes widened, wanting to see how Kong Shinmu was doing. At this moment, ice-splitting sky slash. Ask flowers but words fill the river red. These two terrifying origin source dragon martial techniques bloomed from the battlefield and bombarded the inferior devil spirit. The inferior devil spirit had just unleashed a move with all his strength and really didn't have time to use any defensive methods. The two attacks directly bombarded his body from the left and right. Under the impact of the terrifying power, the inferior devil spirit's body was sent flying and slammed into the defensive barrier behind him. The impact of his huge body caused the entire defensive barrier to tremble. Under the impact of the terrifying power, the inferior devil spirit's body was sent flying and slammed into the defensive barrier behind him. The impact of his huge body caused the entire defensive barrier to tremble. At this moment, he finally had the time to look back at Kong Shinmu, who was being attacked with all his might. And the scene that greeted his eyes left him dumbfounded. Kong Shinmu, who had withstood almost his full strength, seemed to be almost unharmed. That little 6th-level Nirvana Tribulation Black Dragon seemed to be almost unharmed. There were dozens of saber marks all over his body, and even a lot of his dragon scales were shattered. However, he still couldn't seriously injure Kong Shinmu. Moreover, Kong Shinmu's injuries seemed to be rapidly recovering. What's going on? Before the inferior devil spirit could react, Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl's attacks arrived again. This time, they changed their attack methods, but they were also powerful origin source dragon martial techniques. The power of ice and fire burst out separately. It was as if two different worlds had descended and bombarded the inferior devil spirit. Even though the inferior devil spirit's demonic body was tough, it was ultimately not as terrifying as Kong Shinmu's. Under the continuous attacks of the two girls, dark gray blood began to seep out of his body. Surrounded by demonic aura, the blood splashed towards the defensive barrier and stained the barrier. At this moment, Kong Shinmu's black dragon body was like an iron fortress. As if he wasn't affected at all, he charged towards the inferior devil spirit's demonic body. Chapter 4407. Kong Shinmu's divine dragon body was simply too strong. Moreover, he had devoured the devil chi of the devil soldier in front of him, making his defense against the devil chi even more terrifying. Even if the attack of the inferior devil spirit in front of him was extremely strong, it was still unable to break through Kong Shinmu's physical defense. Is this the power of a body-refining dragon martial skill? A mere 6th-level Nirvana Tribulation Realm Dragon King is actually able to withstand the attack of a 3rd-level devil spirit. This Kong Shinmu is too terrifying. I take back what I said before. This guy might really be able to kill a 4th-level devil spirit. From the looks of it, Chu Qingyun is going to suffer a setback this time. Who would have thought that this Kong Shinmu would be so strong? No one had expected such a scene to occur. Kong Shinmu's black dragon body was like a steel fortress, blocking in front of him, not allowing his teammates behind him to suffer any harm. Even if he was only at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, he was more reliable than those dragon martial artists of the Samsara Realm. What they didn't know was that Kong Shinmu had condensed the Nirvana Force twice. Although he was only at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, his cultivation was actually at the 8th or even 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. If Kong Shinmu continued like this and cultivated to the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, he would be equivalent to the 14th or 15th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. Although there was no such cultivation realm, Kong Shinmu's strength had reached this level in theory. From this, it could be seen how strong he would be after condensing the Nirvana Force. However, the Nirvana Tribulation Realm was still the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. There was still a huge difference between it and the Samsara Realm. Therefore, even if Kong Shinmu cultivated to the extreme in the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, he still couldn't compare to the dragon martial artists of the Samsara Realm under the same conditions. These were two different concepts. Of course, none of the dragon martial artists that Kong Shinmu had met had the same conditions as him. Simply put, they were all too weak. When Kong Shinmu broke through to the Rebirth Tribulation Realm, his combat strength would take a huge leap. At that time, even Kong Shinmu himself was not sure how strong he would be. Attack directly. Kong Shinmu pressed the inferior demon spirit directly against the protective barrier. The black dragon's body constantly withstood the impact of the opponent's struggling demonic energy, and even the violent demonic energy saber light. However, these attacks could not hurt Kong Shinmu at all. He had forcefully used the physical strength of the divine dragon's body to firmly control the lesser devil spirit. The following matters were easy to handle. Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed young lady continued to launch attacks at the lesser devil soul. Two different attributes, ice and fire, swept towards the lesser devil soul. During this period, they did not consider whether they would accidentally hurt Kong Shinmu, because Kong Shinmu's divine dragon body was too strong. Even if they attacked Kong Shinmu head-on, they would not be able to hurt him. Before coming here, Kong Shinmu had already considered the situation, so he let them each attack him for a period of time, allowing him to devour some ice and fire attributes. This way, he would also have a near-peak resistance to ice and fire attributes. Under such circumstances, there was no need to consider the possibility of accidental injuries. They could just attack directly. Anyway, Kong Shinmu would not die. Only the lesser devil soul would die. The lesser devil soul also seemed to realize that something was wrong. If it kept attacking Kong Shinmu, it would not be able to hurt Kong Shinmu at all. But now, its entire body was clamped down. Compared to other void devils, it was relatively weaker, and it had already been heavily injured by the two women. Even if it attacked again, it would not be strong enough to kill Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed young lady. No matter what, it had to give it a try. It could not let its life be lost here in vain. So in the next moment, it finally thought through everything and began to gather demonic qi, attempting to use demonic techniques to attack Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed young lady. What a pity! Kong Shinmu immediately sensed its intentions. When it began to gather demonic qi, he used his dragon claws to lock onto its demonic body and charged straight at the demonic qi saber light it gathered. The power it gathered was directly pressed against its demonic body by Kong Shinmu, causing the demonic qi saber light to explode. At the same time, the attacks of Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed young lady swept over. The powerful attacks that continued to erupt made the lesser devil soul unable to withstand them at all. Finally, after enduring many attacks in succession, its injuries were so severe that it could not move. It was grabbed by Kong Shinmu in his dragon claws and beheaded alive. Such a ferocious scene of hand-to-hand combat caused the faces of all the dragon martial artists watching the battle to tremble. Even the few Dragon Emperor instructors were a little surprised. They did not expect Kong Shinmu to use such a fighting method. Wasn't this too ferocious? It was as if he did not care about his life. Moreover, Kong Shinmu was only at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. How could he withstand the violent attacks of the lesser devil soul? Not only did he rely on his divine dragon body, he did not use any defensive dragon martial skills. Most importantly, he was not even injured. He was almost in perfect condition throughout the battle. This Kong Shinmu's strength was too terrifying. This Kong Shinmu has probably condensed the power of Nirvana. Finally, someone was able to see through this. Otherwise, it would be impossible for Kong Shinmu to forcefully fight against a lesser devil soul at the 3rd level of the rebirth tribulation realm with his little cultivation. However, it did not matter if they saw through this. Kong Shinmu had no intention of hiding this from others. At this moment, when the lesser devil soul was completely killed, Kong Shinmu threw the pieces of the devil body down. Everyone around him let out a burst of cheers. It had to be said that such a battle had given all the dragon martial artists a new idea. The body-refining dragon martial skill seemed to be very, very strong. This Kong Shinmu's battle had already proved it. With such a terrifying defensive ability, he was simply invincible. Many dragon martial artists suddenly had the thought of cultivating the body-refining dragon martial skill. But after thinking about it carefully, they suddenly discovered that the body-refining dragon martial skill also required a lot of cultivation resources to cultivate. Not only did they need experience points to exchange for the dragon martial skill itself, but they also needed to exchange for a lot of cultivation resources and heavenly materials. It was not like other dragon martial skills, where one only needed to exchange for the dragon martial skill and cultivate it themselves. There was no need for resources to improve. Furthermore, it seemed like the more injuries one suffered, the faster one could cultivate the body-tempering dragon martial technique. This point also caused many people to give up on the idea of using it. Who had nothing better to do than to torture themselves. Even if they had the guts to torture themselves, they still needed experience points to exchange for recovery pills to recover from their injuries. This was another issue of experience points. Therefore, after careful analysis, many people discovered that ordinary people really could not cultivate this body-refining dragon martial skill. Many people looked at Kong Shinmu and felt some admiration. To be able to endure the pain of constant injuries to cultivate the body-refining dragon martial skill. No matter what, this perseverance was worthy of admiration. Below the stage, Chu Qingyun's face was already as black as charcoal. He never thought that Kong Xinmu could actually kill a lesser devil soul at the 3rd level so easily. In this way, if the lesser devil soul at the 4th level wasn't strong enough, it might really be killed by Kong Xinmu and the other two. Chapter 4408. As Kong Xinmu grabbed the inferior devil spirit in his dragon claws and let it be killed by the two girls, everyone's expressions changed. Such a battle record had already surpassed the level that Chu Qingyun's team could achieve. Although Chu Qingyun's team had also defeated a 3rd-level reincarnation tribulation realm inferior devil spirit, their team had 4 people while Kong Xinmu's team only had 3 people. This comparison was clearly different. Moreover, Kong Xinmu's battle had brought too much shock to many of the surrounding dragon martial artists. Dragon martial artists could actually fight like this. The body-refining dragon martial technique that no one had cultivated for a long time was actually so powerful. No one had expected that Kong Xinmu would use such a method. They were all shocked on the spot. Will he continue to challenge the next one? Isn't that obvious? It's too easy to deal with her inferior devil spirit. He will definitely have to deal with a 4th-level intermediate devil spirit. Just as many people below were discussing. When Kong Xinmu confirmed that the 3rd-level reincarnation tribulation realm inferior devil spirit was completely dead, he threw away its scattered corpse and said in a deep voice, "Next. A 4th-level reincarnation tribulation realm intermediate devil spirit." This was a powerful existence of another level. This level of void demonic creature wasn't too weak near the void crack. It was even at the level of a squad leader. If they could really kill such an intermediate devil spirit, then Kong Xinmu, Xiao Yuhua, and the white-dressed girl could already go to the void crack and hunt the weakest squads of demonic creatures. Of course, it was a little dangerous for them to go near the void crack with their strength, but it was still better than other Yuhing district students who didn't even have the qualifications to go to the void crack. This was because dragon martial artists who couldn't kill an intermediate devil spirit would be of no use going near the void crack. The most basic requirement for a demonic creature squad was to have an intermediate devil spirit squad leader. At the very least, they would act as a squad. Without this level, no matter what kind of void demonic creature they encountered, the only way out was to escape. The middle-ranked devil spirit at the 4th level of the Samsara tribulation realm soon appeared in front of everyone. The deans of the 4 dragon martial academies, as well as the mentors of the Dragon Emperor, had captured quite a number of void demons of this level and imprisoned them for the students to train. That was why there were plenty of void aberrations at the demonic soul level in the training base. At the very least, it could support 20 to 30 student squads to challenge them for a day. If it really wasn't enough, the Dragon Emperor's instructors could also randomly grab some from the nearby void rift. To mentor Dragon Emperor, void monsters of this level weren't strong to begin with. It wouldn't be difficult for him to capture a team of void monsters alive. Kong Xinmu narrowed his eyes when the 4th reincarnation tribulation realm middle-ranked devil spirit appeared. This middle-ranked demon spirit seemed to be a powerful demon spirit that was good at attacking, and it had super fast speed. Her pitch-black body was slightly slender, and compared to other void aberrations, it was obvious that she had agility-type abilities. As soon as she appeared, she gave Kong Xinmu an incomparably tyrannical and dangerous aura. It was obvious that Mentor Dragon Emperor, who was in charge of these void demons, would not care too much about the type of void demon that was released. In any case, no matter what kind of void demon it was fine as long as it was the cultivation level that the students were challenging. Comparatively speaking, this kind of void demon with strong attack and agility was a higher threat to the student squads. If it was a void demon with stronger defense, even if the student squads could not beat it, they could just give up and regroup before challenging it again. Moreover, if it was a real battle, the number of void demons with strong defense was relatively small, so the number of captives that were captured was not high. If they encountered a defense-type void demon outside, there would not be much danger. They could just run away if they could not beat it. And right now, the reincarnation tribulation realm 4th-level devil spirit that Kong Xinmu and the others were facing was not this type. Its 6 slender pitch-black limbs were like 6 sharp knives in the darkness, emitting an endless terrifying and dangerous aura. Come! When the devil spirit appeared, Kong Xinmu's pitch-black divine dragon body suddenly rushed over. As if provoking it, he sneered and suddenly burst out with an attack of the void dragon sky-raising break. His attack came very suddenly. Almost as soon as the devil spirit appeared, he burst out with a powerful attack, giving the devil spirit no time to react. However, even if it was just based on instinct, Kong Shinmu's attack could not do anything to this devil spirit at all. When Kong Shinmu made his move, the devil spirit let out a chilling cutting sound. Its 6 blade-like pitch-black limbs instantly cut through the void, causing it to be like a ghost in the night, directly disappearing from where it was. When it reappeared, it was already directly above Kong Shinmu. The 6 blade-like limbs instantly fell, accompanied by endless pitch-black devil chi, turning into 6 saber lights that broke through the void and slashed at Kong Shinmu's black dragon body. This attack was too fast. It was so fast that most of the Dragon Warrior students watching the battle outside could not even react. By the time they saw the devil spirit's actions clearly, Kong Shinmu had already suffered a direct and fierce attack. Everyone broke out in a cold sweat. Kong Shinmu wouldn't be killed in one move, right? In fact, the students who came here to train were most afraid of encountering such a situation. If they encountered a powerful and fast void monster, many would choose to give up because it was too dangerous. Yesterday, there were Dragon Warrior students who came here to train and were killed on the spot by a void monster. In such a situation, no matter how careful the Dragon Emperor's mentors were, it was impossible to completely avoid it. So when they saw that Kong Shinmu and the others had drawn such a powerful devil spirit to fight, they immediately broke out in cold sweat. As for Chu Qingyun, with his strength, he could naturally see the devil spirit's movements clearly. He immediately sneered. No matter how strong his defense is, so what? If he can't keep up with his speed, he can only be a live target. And this devil spirit's continuous attacks can definitely shatter Kong Shinmu's tortoise shell. Many people were secretly gloating over his misfortune. Some people were also worried about Kong Shinmu. But soon, these people were all stunned. Because they discovered that after Kong Shinmu was attacked, not only did Kong Shinmu not seem to be injured, but a blood-red talent power burst out from all over his body. Or rather, the pitch-black talent power was wrapped in a layer of blood-red color. That was the power of the Dragon Scar Blood Pendant. Just when everyone felt that Kong Shinmu was likely to be seriously injured by the devil spirit, Kong Shinmu's Nirvana devouring power, combined with the power of the Dragon Scar Blood Pendant, directly began to devour the opponent's power. Chapter 4409. Kong Shinmu's divine dragon body was surrounded by pitch-black demonic energy. This power was the power that he had devoured, and it had the same effect as the devil skill that the other party had used. This devil chi surrounded him, allowing him to move at an extraordinary speed, and he also had extremely sharp senses. Moreover, this demonic energy could also turn into saber light and attack the other party. Kong Shinmu's devouring power was equivalent to completely replicating the other party's ability. It was as if he had secretly learned it and completely possessed the same ability as the other party. Of course, the amount of demonic energy that Kong Shinmu could use was relatively small. It was only the amount of the other party's attack that erupted. However, Kong Shinmu could rely on this power to keep up with the other party's speed, receive all the other party's subsequent attacks, and devour them all. Kong Shinmu's chaotic dragon body had now been cultivated to the heaven stage. Moreover, he had broken through a cultivation realm. His Nirvana talent had become extremely powerful, and the backlash of devouring power that he could withstand had also suddenly increased. Originally, it would be a little difficult for him to devour the power of an opponent at the 3rd level of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm. If he completely devoured the power of an expert at the 4th level of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm, the Dragon King, he would almost certainly be unable to withstand it and fall into a state of dizziness. But now, Kong Shinmu could completely devour the power of the middle-rank devil spirit in front of him. When the middle-rank devil spirit's attack was ineffective, it seemed to be a little puzzled. It had never encountered such a strange situation before. It was not that its attack was useless, and it was not that it did not touch Kong Shinmu, but it was as if Kong Shinmu had suddenly disappeared, and even it could not sense his existence. However, it clearly saw that Kong Shinmu's divine dragon body was still surrounded by its power. What was going on? The middle-rank devil spirit could not understand, but it felt that it did not need to understand. No matter what strange methods Kong Shinmu had used, it was impossible to conceal the fact that Kong Shinmu was only at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. This cultivation realm was simply too low, and this devil spirit didn't take him seriously at all. Therefore, the middle-rank demon spirit once again launched an attack at Kong Shinmu. This time, the attack was even sharper and faster, as if the void was torn apart by countless pitch-black demonic auras. The demonic claws pierced through the void and swept toward Kong Shinmu, enveloping him. Countless demonic claws from the void, like death reapers from hell, instantly penetrated Jiang Shenwu's divine dragon body. Even with Kong Shinmu's physical defense, it seemed that he could not completely resist the invasion of these void demon claws. Clearly, these void demon claws were not as simple as they seemed on the surface. They had some special effects. Jiang Shenwu couldn't figure it out either. In any case, after being eroded by the void demonic claws, he felt as if he had suffered a heavy blow. His physical body seemed fine, but the key was that his mental state suddenly became dispirited. This is a mental attack method. Kong Shinmu's face darkened. But before he could react, there seemed to be an incomparably terrifying consciousness awakening in his body and exploding in his mind. This kind of explosive mental power instantly filled Kong Shinmu's entire body of the divine dragon, making him excited. That sluggish mental state suddenly disappeared without a trace. It's the black dragon's consciousness helping me. It's awake. Kong Shinmu was a little puzzled. But in any case, the situation he was facing now was grim. He had cultivated a variety of body-refining dragon martial techniques, but he hadn't cultivated the spiritual defense-type dragon martial technique. The attack of the middle-rank demon spirit in front of him actually had the effect of making people sluggish, which really made Kong Shinmu unable to react. However, after the black dragon's consciousness seemed to awaken, Kong Shinmu became excited again. The power of devouring combined with the power of the dragon scar blood erupted at this moment, swallowing all the surrounding void demon claws. These void demon claws suddenly became Kong Shinmu's own power, and he could release them at any time. However, the middle-rank demon spirit definitely didn't know about this at the moment. When it released these void demon claws and bombarded and eroded Kong Shinmu's body, it didn't take Kong Shinmu seriously. Because in its opinion, Kong Shinmu must have lost most of his combat power after suffering such an attack from it. It was also at this moment. The attacks of Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl came from both sides. The ice attribute and fire attribute divine dragon power seemed to condense into two completely different worlds, burning half of the space into a fiery red color, and the other half of the space was decorated with a world of ice and snow. The two women's attacks only erupted at this moment. It wasn't that they were slow, but the middle-rank demon spirit speed was too fast. The middle-rank demon spirit launched two attacks at Kong Shinmu, and the two women barely managed to burst out the first attack. The two women's attacks this time happened to be launched at the right time. At this moment, the middle-rank demon spirit was about to turn around to deal with the two women after its wave of attacks ended. In the end, the two women actually took the initiative to attack it, which surprised it a little. In its eyes, the strength of these two women wasn't weak. With the strength of the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, they were definitely not weak to be able to react so quickly and launch an attack at it. They were the elites among the dragon martial artists. Although this middle-ranked demon spirit was trapped in a cage and knew that it wouldn't live for long, if it could kill more elite dragon martial artists, then it would be worth it even if it died. Immediately afterward, it quickly reacted and turned around. Countless void demon claws tore through the space, erupted within the protective barrier, and swept towards the two women. Those void demon claws directly shattered the two women's attacks. With one claw, the flames were extinguished, and the ice river was broken. Countless void demon claws spread out, whistling and sweeping towards the two women. This middle-ranked demon spirit is too strong. That's right, it's not an ordinary middle-ranked demon spirit. The demonic technique it cultivates even has the effect of mental trembling. That Kong Shinmu seems to have been stunned. With just these two little girls, they won't be able to block this middle-ranked demon spirit's move. It seems that among the void demons, this middle-ranked demon spirit is definitely not a simple character. It might even be a specially cultivated elite with a special status. Could it be the descendant of some great demon? Who knows? Anyway, this Kong Shinmu can be considered to have suffered a setback this time. If it was an ordinary middle-ranked demon spirit, it would be impossible for it to be so strong. It's almost as strong as the 5th level of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm. Many people were discussing it animatedly. Some powerful dragon martial artists and even some dragon emperor mentors were shaking their heads. This time, Kong Shinmu's luck was really too bad. He encountered such a middle-ranked demon spirit that had many means and was extremely powerful. This was a middle-rank demon spirit that could challenge those of a higher level. Looking at the situation, the beautiful mentor in the red dress from Emperor Xi's Dragon Martial Academy was even ready to help. However, at this moment, suddenly, a shocking demonic aura erupted from Kong Shinmu's body. How about this move? Chapter 44:10. No one had expected that Kong Shinmu would actually use demonic energy. Wasn't this a technique that only void demons could use? This situation left everyone dumbfounded. What the hell was going on? In the field, countless demonic claws erupted from Kong Shinmu's body, carrying Kong Shinmu to attack the middle-rank demon soul at an extremely fast speed. Although Kong Shinmu's speed was decent, it was absolutely impossible for him to reach such an extreme level. He actually arrived in front of Xiao Yuhua and the two girls in an instant. The two girls couldn't block the attack of the middle-rank demon soul at all. If Kong Shinmu didn't help, they could only rely on their dragon movement technique to barely dodge. At most, they could avoid being hit in the vital parts, but they would at least be seriously injured. But at this moment, Kong Shinmu swept over with demonic energy that filled the sky. The surging demonic energy was like a pitch-black sea of death, frantically forming a demonic claw that swept toward the middle-rank demon soul. This technique was exactly the same as the one released by the middle-rank demon soul. This scene left the middle-rank demon soul dumbfounded. In just an instant, the middle-rank demon soul was engulfed by its own power and swallowed. Its entire pitch-black, six-limbed body that was hundreds of feet long was submerged in the sea of demonic energy. For this middle-rank demon soul, it naturally couldn't resist an attack that came from its own body because its offensive ability was much stronger than its defensive ability. At this moment, Kong Shinmu only swallowed the power of the opponent's two moves and then returned all the power back to it. This was completely unexpected for the middle-rank demon soul. However, the reaction and speed of the middle-rank demon soul were very fast. When Kong Shinmu's demonic energy erupted and surged around its body, it had already reacted and wanted to dodge nearby at an extremely fast speed. Unfortunately, from the direction it dodged, the joint ice and fire attack of Xiao Yuhua and the girl in white swept over. The incomparably violent power completely fused together, forming an ice and fire storm. Most of the area around the middle-rank demon spirit was erupting with demonic energy. The direction it wanted to dodge to was also the direction of the two women's attacks, so it finally couldn't avoid it. In the next moment, half of the demonic spirit's body was enveloped by demonic energy, and it was shattered by the demonic energy. The other half of his body was completely blasted apart by the combined attacks of the two women, and it transformed into a pile of pitch-black ash that dispersed into the surroundings before transforming into powder that covered the sky and descended to the ground. This fourth-level reincarnation tribulation realm middle-rank devil spirit died in the hands of Kong Shinmu and the others just like that. This scene happened too quickly. No one expected the battle to have such a twist. In the blink of an eye, everyone was still lamenting the tyrannical strength of this middle-rank demon spirit. This was a genius demon spirit that could fight above its rank. Everyone believed that Kong Shinmu was absolutely no match for it. But in the blink of an eye, Kong Shinmu had actually killed the intermediate demon spirit in an instant, and he had even unleashed the same demonic aura as the void demon. What kind of technique is this? Everyone was stunned on the spot. Kong Shinmu killed a fourth-level reincarnation tribulation realm middle-rank devil spirit. Although the three of them worked together to kill it, there was no doubt that the leader of this battle had always been Kong Shinmu. Whether it was Kong Shinmu using a strange method to resist the attack of the intermediate demon spirit or Kong Shinmu's burst of demonic energy to assist in killing the intermediate demon spirit, Kong Shinmu's contributions could not go unnoticed. In contrast, the two girls, Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl, were somewhat inconspicuous. At most, they played the role of supporting attacks. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that the majority of the killing of this intermediate demon spirit belonged to Kong Shinmu. Wasn't this kid too heaven-defying? How old was he? He was only at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. He actually had such strength. At this time, many students of Donghuang Yongwu College felt a little sad. Why did such a peerless genius betray Donghuang Yongwu College just like that? Otherwise, Donghuang Yongwu College would be the one enjoying the limelight now. In the eyes of the crowd, many students of Emperor Xi's Dragon and Martial Academy were cheering. This was the glory of Emperor Xi's Dragon and Martial Academy. When Kong Shinmu led a team to kill this intermediate demon spirit, It meant that Kong Shinmu's team was the strongest student in the Yuhing district. Among the 4 great academies, among all the students in the Yuhing district, Kong Shinmu was the strongest. Seeing so many students of Emperor Shi's Dragon and Martial Academy cheering, the faces of some people instantly turned gloomy. The most obvious one was Chu Qingyun. Chu Qingyun's face turned ashen. When he heard the cheers of the people around him, he coldly snorted. Kong Shinmu, why don't you explain how you can display the moves of the void demonic creatures? That move just now clearly belongs to the void demonic creatures. Could it be that you have some sort of relationship with these void demonic creatures? These words were very serious, because there was no doubt that the Dragon Martial Continent was in a state of absolute hostility with these void demonic creatures. As long as they saw each other, they would kill each other. There wasn't even the slightest bit of communication between them. Under such circumstances, Kong Shinmu had actually displayed demonic qi. This would undoubtedly arouse suspicion. If it was really as Chu Qingyun said, that Kong Shinmu had some sort of relationship with the void demonic creatures, then Kong Shinmu would be in big trouble. Unfortunately, when he heard Chu Qingyun's words, Kong Shinmu only glanced at him indifferently. Many people in the surroundings also chuckled. This Chu Qingyun lost to Kong Shinmu, so he can't accept it. He can't accept it and wants to slander him, right? Although the method of erupting demonic qi is a little strange, it was clearly Kong Shinmu's own method just now. That's right. Absorbing demonic qi and erupting demonic qi. I believe most people here can see this point. The power that killed the middle-rank devil spirit came from the middle-rank devil spirit itself. Which of the dragon martial artists present or the dragon emperor teacher was not a veteran of hundreds of battles? They had seen all kinds of talents and all kinds of strange combat methods. As for Kong Shinmu's current combat method, even if they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they had heard of it before. Some dragon warriors had the innate ability to absorb the enemy's power for their own use. There were precedents for this in the Dragon Martial Continent, and even in the 4 great dragon martial academies, there were some genius students who possessed such an ability. Under such circumstances, Chu Qingyun actually suspected Kong Shinmu and even said that Kong Shinmu had colluded with the demonic creatures. This was undoubtedly laughable. It made people wonder if Chu Qingyun had lost his mind because he had lost the great desolate demon sweeping sword. Chu Qingyun instantly transformed into a dragon. Following that, a tornado condensed in the surrounding void. It actually transformed into void wind blades that attacked Kong Shinmu's black dragon body. This is a high-grade source dragon martial skill. Kong Shinmu's expression changed slightly as he narrowed his eyes. Chu Qingyun's high-grade source dragon martial skill was clearly provided by Xueqi. After all, this sort of cultivation resource was nothing to a powerhouse. It was much more convenient than providing heavenly materials, cultivation resources, and so on. Moreover, this was the main factor that allowed Xueqi to increase his strength. High-grade source dragon martial skill, Void Storm Saber Array. Countless wind blades condensed and erupted from the void. Following that, they surrounded Kong Shinmu and swept towards him. If it was an ordinary 6th-stage Nirvana Tribulation Realm martial artist, they definitely wouldn't be able to resist this high-grade source dragon martial skill. If they couldn't escape, only death would await them. This was because this Void Storm Saber Array trapped the opponent in a void and used countless Storm Saber lights to kill them. Within the Void Storm Saber Array, the opponent's movements were restricted. No matter what movement they made, they would become incomparably slow. This was the strength of the Void Storm Saber Array. It was a killing move with a strong control effect. Let me see how you can replicate my dragon martial skill. Chu Qingyun sneered. But no matter what, with the words of the Dragon Emperor teacher, no one doubted that Kong Shinmu had anything to do with the void demonic creatures. After all, this matter was nonsense and the possibility of it being true was extremely low. No one doubted it in the first place, and no one doubted it now. On the contrary, Chu Qingyun had become the laughingstock of the crowd. This guy was too stupid. He had forced his face to be hit by Kong Shinmu. Wasn't his face swollen now? Fortunately, he had only cultivated the Void Storm Saber formation to the Earth grade. Otherwise, Chu Qingyun might not have been able to withstand it. At that time, if Chu Qingyun was injured by his own attack, or even seriously injured, it would be fun. Even so, it was already very embarrassing for him. Chu Qingyun dispelled his divine dragon form. His face was extremely gloomy, and he turned to leave. "Don't forget your great desolate demon sword," Kong Shinmu reminded him. "Humph. Kong Shinmu, just you wait and see." Chu Qingyun was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. Without looking back, he threw out the heaven-grade dragon weapon, the great desolate demon sword, and flew towards Kong Shinmu. In the direction, Kong Shinmu also dispelled his divine dragon form and held the great desolate demon sword in his hand. Suddenly, a wave of righteousness was transmitted from the great desolate demon sword, and Kong Shinmu felt warm all over. This is the great desolate demon sword. Righteousness is boundless, and the demons sweeping invincible. Chapter 44:13. The great desolate demon rinsing sword was in Kong Shinmu's hands. This heaven-grade dragon weapon could not unleash its full power in Chu Qingyun's hands, but Kong Shinmu might not be able to unleash its full power either. No matter what, he would have to try it out when he got back. Moreover, this was not the only harvest this time. Kong Shinmu led Xiao Yuhua and the girl in the white dress to kill a 4th-tier reincarnation state intermediate devil spirit. This was a pretty good result. It was ranked first among the students in the Yuhing district. If this result persisted for a month, when the mission ended, Kong Shinmu and the other two would each get experience points equivalent to several years of what they usually got. Kong Shinmu could exchange for more than half of the high-grade Origin Source Dragon martial skill. If I want to exchange for a whole high-grade Origin Source Dragon martial skill, I need to work harder and get better results in the next mission. A 5th-tier reincarnation state intermediate devil spirit and a 6th-tier reincarnation state intermediate devil spirit. The high-grade Origin Dragon martial skill is the strongest dragon martial skill that the Dragon Martial Academy can impart to the students. The amount of experience points needed to exchange for it is practically astronomical. 1 month's worth of experience points is enough to exchange for one. You can imagine how generous the rewards for this mission are. Even in the Beast Abyss, no matter how lucky one is, it's impossible to get so many experience points in a month. Kong Shinmu knew. This was probably because of the invasion of the void monsters, and the 4 academies deliberately gave the students of the Dragon Martial Academy a form of stimulation and help. After all, the students of the Dragon Martial Academy needed enough cultivation resources to improve. For example, Chu Qingyun's strength could only be considered average, barely reaching the standards of the Yuhing district students. But after obtaining enough cultivation resources, Chu Qingyun's strength skyrocketed, almost touching the threshold of the Migres district. This was the change. However, according to the scale of the experience points reward, the existing cultivation resources of the 4 academies were not enough for the students to exchange for. There should be a large number of cultivation resources that will be provided in the future. These cultivation resources can't be from the Dragon Martial Continent. They were transported from outside the Dragon Martial Continent by the Divine Dragons. Kong Shinmu pondered. He temporarily put away the great wilderness demon sweeping sword. Following that, the beautiful teacher in the red dress from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy came forward with a face full of smiles. She pursed her lips and smiled at Kong Shinmu, saying, "Kong Shinmu, your strength is not bad. I hope you can continue to work hard. I will personally provide experience points to the 3 of you. Strive to defeat stronger opponents and earn more experience points before the end of this training." "Thank you, Senior." Kong Shinmu nodded and bowed respectfully. Instructor Dragon Emperor said that it was a personal reward of experience points, but in reality, it was definitely given by Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. However, even if Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy were to give them, the amount would not be too much. After all, many cultivation resources were limited. If they gave too many experience points to Kong Shinmu, what would happen if Kong Shinmu used up all the cultivation resources? Of course, these experience points were not little. For Kong Shinmu, it was still very useful for him to improve. Then we will return to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy first. Kong Shinmu bid farewell to Instructor Dragon Emperor. In the void, the wind collar bull's blood splattered everywhere. The virtual dragon skybreaking and the great desolate demon sword's combined attack made the wind collar bull unable to block it at all. As a demonic beast, the wind collar bull's body had a very strong defense. It could be said that its skin was rough and its flesh was thick. However, the great desolate demon sword, as a heaven-level dragon weapon, was too powerful. Most importantly, Kong Shinmu's devouring power was strong. The virtual dragon sky-breaking that Kong Shinmu executed was executed with a devouring power. His devouring power was at least 10 times stronger than the talent and nirvana force of others in the same realm. In other words, there was a gap of at least 3 realms. In addition, Kong Shinmu had condensed nirvana force twice, which was a gap of more than 5 realms. Therefore, even though Kong Shinmu was only at the 6th level of the nirvana tribulation realm, the dragon martial skill executed with the devouring power was equivalent to the dragon martial skill executed by those in the 2nd level of the reincarnation tribulation realm or above. Now, together with the great desolate demon sword, it directly shattered the wind collar bull's attack, broke through its tough demonic beast body defense, and hit it heavily on the ground in the dense forest. The violent shock almost spread throughout the entire dense forest. The great desolate demon sword turned into a blood-red sword shadow and floated above the black dragon that Kong Shinmu had transformed into, releasing a strong power that shook the world. The dragon weapon had the ability to increase the power of the dragon martial artist, and could also add some special effects. This was the function of the dragon weapon. Chapter 44:16. Of course, Kong Shinmu did not have a deep integration with the great wilderness demon sweeping sword. He could only exert less than 30% of the power of the great wilderness demon sweeping sword. This was much better than Xueqi, who could only exert less than 10% of the great wilderness demon sweeping sword's power. At this moment, above Kong Shinmu's black dragon body, the great wilderness demon sweeping sword turned into a blood-red sword chi, bursting out with a terrifying aura. The wind call bull fell heavily on the dense forest ground. Its giant body looked like it was about to fall apart. Its entire body was covered with sword marks and bloodstains. It looked extremely miserable. With the great wilderness demon sweeping sword, Kong Shinmu could only use one move, Shadow Dragon Sky Raising Break, to injure the wind call bull, who was at the 2nd level of the reincarnation realm. It was obvious that the great wilderness demon sweeping sword's attack power had increased a lot for Kong Shinmu. After all, it was the strongest heaven-level dragon weapon. If I can completely integrate with the great wilderness demon sweeping sword, I can easily kill a 3rd-level reincarnation realm demon king or dragon king with the great wilderness demon sweeping sword. As for the 4th-level reincarnation realm demon king and dragon king, I can also use the great wilderness demon sweeping sword to fight them head-on. Kong Shinmu had always relied on his physical defense in battle. Recently, when he could not devour his opponent's flesh and blood essence, his attack methods became quite poor. In this way, my attack power is no less than that of Xiao Yuhua and Xueqi. Kong Shinmu thought to himself, feeling gratified. This great desolate devil sweeping sword was truly a great gift from Xueqi. With this heaven-level dragon weapon, Kong Shinmu's battle power had improved a lot. Of course, it was mainly because of his nirvana devouring power, which had become very strong after refining it twice. Although he was only at the 6th level of the nirvana realm, it was equivalent to the 8th or even the 9th level of the nirvana realm. With the grade and strength of the devouring power, combined with the great wilderness demon sweeping sword and the heaven-level shadow dragon sky raising break, it was normal for him to kill the wind call bull. This is much more convenient. The corners of Kong Shinmu's mouth curled up. Originally, with his strength, it would have been very difficult for him to kill the wind call bull, even if he did not face any danger. He could only devour the opponent's attack to counterattack. If the opponent was more proficient in defense, then it would be basically impossible for Kong Shinmu to kill the opponent. But it was different now. With the help of the great wilderness devil rinsing sword, Kong Shinmu could kill a demon king expert of this level head-on. Then, the great wilderness demon rinsing sword cooperated with Kong Shinmu once again and burst out the virtual dragon roaring strike. The blood-red dragon's breath beam exploded in the dense forest and directly smashed the wind bull into pieces. The huge body of the wind collar bull collapsed in the dense forest, losing all signs of life. Some of the demonic beasts who were hiding to watch the scene couldn't believe their eyes when they saw this. They all ran away in all directions. Kong Shinmu's next goal was very clear. In this dense forest, there were several other demon kings. They were all at the 2nd or even 3rd level of the reincarnation realm. If Kong Shinmu fought with these demon kings, he would be able to familiarize himself with the aura of the Great Wilderness Devil Rinsing Sword. He would be more compatible with the Great Wilderness Devil Rinsing Sword and be able to exert more power. This would allow his devouring nirvana force to be strengthened through the Great Wilderness Devil Rinsing Sword. Chapter 44:17. Kong Shinmu returned to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. The mission he completed this time did not give him many experience points, but it allowed him to unleash the power of the Great Desolate Demon Rinsing Sword, which increased his attack power by at least 3 times. This was the power of a heaven-level dragon weapon. Now that Kong Shinmu had the Great Desolate Demon Rinsing Sword, he was much more confident in dealing with the void demons. After returning to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy after half a month, Kong Shinmu received 3 pieces of good news. Ran used the experience points awarded by the Academy to directly cultivate the chaotic dragon body to the dragon level. She was only 1 step away from the peak of the heaven level. Moreover, she had also broken through her cultivation realm and reached the 8th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. These 2 improvements had at least doubled her combat strength. Not only had her defense improved, but her overall combat strength had also improved. Now, even if she was alone, she could withstand more than 10 moves from a low-level demon soldier. This was a qualitative change. It was very difficult to cultivate the body-refining dragon-type martial arts, and one would usually suffer a lot. It could be said that these days, Ran had been in pain. Her divine dragon body had been constantly attacked by Liang Xiao, and she was in a state of serious injury almost all the time. If it was not for her amazing willpower, others would not have been able to endure for so long. Kong Shinmu was used to this kind of pain, but for a girl, this kind of pain was obviously not that easy to endure. However, when he thought about how Ran grew up in an assassin organization, it made sense. Although she had lost all her memories of being in the Dark Dragon group, those experiences and the ability to endure pain were still left behind. Now that she was cultivating the body-refining dragon-type martial arts, she could more easily endure that kind of pain. Of course, the pain was very heavy. Even if Ran could endure it, she could only do it by clenching her teeth. If she relaxed even a little during this period, it was very likely that her chaotic dragon body would not be able to break through to the dragon level. In particular, if she wanted her chaotic dragon body to make a breakthrough in such a short period of time, the pressure she would have to endure would be even greater, and the pain she would have to endure would be even greater. When Liang Xiao saw this, he didn't have the heart to heavily injure her at first. However, under her repeated requests, Liang Xiao had no choice but to explode his innate ability with all his might. The power of the blood explosion spell completely exploded on Ran's body. No one could imagine how much pain Ran had suffered in this short period of half a month. Even the pain that some dragon martial artists had endured in their entire lives was not as much as what Ran had endured in this half a month. This was the only way to cultivate the body-refining dragon martial technique. Without such a tempered body, how could the body of a divine dragon become as tough as a steel fortress? It was the same for Kong Shinmu when he was cultivating. He had suffered all kinds of hardships. There was no shortcut to cultivating the body-refining dragon martial technique. Kong Shinmu and Ran's advantage was that their divine dragon body could recover quickly. Whether it was Kong Shinmu's devouring power or Ran's dark dragon filth technique, they were all methods to quickly recover from their injuries. Although they could recover quickly, the pain they had to endure during cultivation was tens to hundreds of times faster than normal. It was much more painful than others. If one could recover quickly, it would be easier to master the body-refining dragon martial technique. Of course, this was only in terms of attack power. If defense, speed, and other factors were considered, she might not be able to defeat the Rebirth Tribulation Realm Dragon King, Demon King, or Demon Spirit. As for Xiao Yuhua, she had cultivated the high-grade source of dragon martial technique to the peak of the heaven rank. This dragon martial technique was called Phoenix Dance Burning the 9 Heavens. It was a high-grade source of Dragon Martial Academy's unique legacy. Xiao Yuhua had always been regarded as a genius, but she had never shown her true genius side in front of Kong Shinmu. In fact, Xiao Yuhua was very proficient in all kinds of dragon martial techniques. Moreover, she could only use one type of attack dragon martial technique at the same time. Previously, she had been using Flowers Don't Speak, Rivers Run Red. It was a part of the source of dragon martial technique that she had cultivated before. However, in reality, She had always been practicing the high-grade origin source dragon martial art technique, Phoenix Dance Burning the 9 Heavens. This was a powerful dragon martial art technique that she had exchanged for 2 years of experience points. It was considered the signature dragon martial art technique of Emperor Xi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. However, she had never cultivated Phoenix Dance Burning the 9 Heavens to the peak of the heaven rank. Therefore, she had never used it in front of outsiders. Now, her Phoenix Dance Burning the 9 Heavens had finally reached the peak. As a genius, she had cultivated Phoenix Dance Burning the 9 Heavens for 2 years to reach the peak of the heaven rank. It was already very impressive. It should be known that many Dragon Emperor instructors had spent 4 to 5 years to cultivate this technique to the peak of the heaven rank. Therefore, Xiao Yuhua could at least become a Dragon Emperor instructor in the future. That would be a strong practitioner above the 5th level of the Dragon Emperor. She could even become a super divine dragon. That was the ultimate goal of the students of the Dragon Martial Academy. It was just that very few people could achieve it. When Phoenix Dance Burning the 9 Heavens reached the peak of the heaven rank, Xiao Yuhua would throw away all her previous dragon martial techniques. Phoenix Dance Burning the 9 Heavens was not just a simple attack dragon martial technique. Its overall combat power was very strong. Kong Xinmu immediately bowed respectfully. Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed young lady did the same. Although they knew that the experience points they obtained were actually given by the academy, it was a fact that the beautiful mentor in front of them had also taken care of them. In the past half a month, have there been any other students from the Yuhing district who challenged and defeated the middle-ranked devil spirits? Kong Xinmu asked with a little concern. There have been. One of them is that Chu Qingyun. He broke through to the first level of the Samsara realm a while ago. This is because Donghuang Yonggu College has put in a lot of effort to nurture him. The beautiful Dragon Emperor chuckled and said, "Perhaps the academy doesn't allow Chu Qingyun to lose to you, who left Donghuang Yonggu College." This mentality was understandable. So how many cultivation resources did Chu Qingyun obtain? It was too terrifying. Breaking through to the first level of the Samsara realm in a short period of time was not something that could be achieved with a little bit of cultivation resources. The white-dressed young lady had been accumulating and preparing for this day. It could be said that she had accumulated a lot of resources, so she just happened to break through to the Samsara realm. But this Chu Qingyun, how long had it been since he broke through? If he wanted to break through to the Samsara realm so quickly, he would need more than just cultivation resources. If he didn't have enough talent and wanted to forcefully break through, he would need at least 10 times more cultivation resources than usual. If 10 times the resources were used on Chu Qingyun, it was understandable that he would be able to improve like this. If he couldn't even do this, then he might as well just die. No matter what, he was still a student of the Yuhing district of the Eastern Imperial Dragon Martial Academy. He definitely had this bit of talent. This Chu Qingyun wasn't that bad. He was just slightly weaker when compared to top talents like Yu Tianchong and Kong Xinmu. Chu Qingyun led a team and killed a 5th-level Samsara realm middle-rank devil spirit. The beautiful teacher continued, but they had already used up their 3 chances. That 5th-level middle-rank devil spirit was lucky enough to encounter a defense-type void demonic creature, so they barely managed to kill it. Other than Chu Qingyun's team, the strongest teams from the South Deity Dragon Martial Academy and the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy have already killed a 4th-level Samsara realm middle-rank devil spirit. Their results are not bad. Of course, I believe that among the 4 academies, your team is the best and strongest. You have to work hard when you return. At the very least, you can't lose to Chu Qingyun's team. How about it? Are you confident? The beautiful teacher narrowed her eyes and asked. Of course I'm confident. No matter what, I can't lose to Chu Qingyun, right? Kong Xinmu's lips curled up. I just got a little familiar with the great desolate demon sweeping sword that he won. If I lose to Chu Qingyun, I will be ashamed of the great desolate demon sweeping sword. So, I won't let that happen. Chapter 44:19. The beautiful teacher was a little surprised by Kong Xinmu's confidence. Of course, she didn't know that Kong Xinmu had long planned to kill the 6th-level reincarnation tribulation realm intermediate devil spirit during the training. Therefore, in the past half a month, it could only be said that he had increased his confidence. It wasn't because he didn't have enough strength previously, but because he didn't want to waste time. Then do your best. The beautiful teacher chuckled, then suddenly lowered her voice and said, based on the current situation, if you can really kill the 5th or even 6th level reincarnation tribulation realm intermediate devil spirit, you may very well have the opportunity to enter the Fecta zone in the next school tournament. Crossing the entire Migres zone from the Yuhing zone to the Fecta zone. This situation had originally never happened in the history of the 4 great dragon martial academies, but it was very likely that such a situation would occur in this year's school tournament. This wasn't just because the students' strength had greatly increased. It was more likely that, as previously mentioned, the number of students in each academy zone would double. Only then would it be possible for Kong Shin-mu to directly cross from the Yuhing zone to the Fecta zone. One had to know that Kong Shin-mu was very clear about his current strength, which was around the middle of the Migres zone. It would be extremely difficult for him to really go against the Dragon Emperors in the Fecta zone. Only by increasing the quota could he immediately step into the Fecta zone. Once he stepped into the Fecta zone, the speed at which Kong Shin-mu devoured and absorbed the Dragon Mark's energy would greatly increase. This would allow him to step into the Dragon Emperor level of inheritance blood essence faster. This training opportunity also gave Kong Shin-mu a great advantage. The experience points that other Dragon Martial Academy students obtained in this training definitely couldn't compare to those of Kong Shin-mu and the other 2. Even if it was the Migres zone students or the Fecta zone students, there were very few who could obtain experience points that were comparable to Kong Shin-mu's. Soon, the beautiful tutor finished what she wanted to say and turned to leave. Xiao Yuhua and the girl in the white dress began to discuss in private. They didn't have much confidence in whether they could break through the Migres zone and go straight to the Fecta zone. However, they were still rather excited at the thought of the massive amount of experience points they would be able to obtain after this training. Kong Shin-mu planned to use these experiential points to exchange for a superior grade origin dragon martial technique. As for Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl, they had their own plans as well. In short, they would be able to improve their strength greatly. After the beautiful mentor left, Kong Shin-mu brought the 2 girls to look at the arena. Right now, it was a student from the Fecta zone who was challenging a low-rank Devil General Void Beast. It looked like he was in a perilous situation. In terms of combat strength, he was much stronger than the middle-rank Devil Spirit that Kong Shin-mu and the other 2 had faced. They could not be compared at all. Let's take a break first, then we'll go on stage. Kong Shin-mu was in a good state now. After saying that to the 2 girls, he closed his eyes and rested. He didn't think too much about the strength of the Void Beast. In any case, he was already very confident that he could deal with the middle-rank Devil Spirit that he wanted to deal with. The 2 girls didn't hesitate and began to rest like him. The place they chose was a corner in the void. However, even if they were in a corner, some Dragon Warrior students would look at them from time to time and point at them. Among them were students from Donghuang Yonggu College. Most of them looked at Kong Shin-mu with contempt and disgust. After all, in the eyes of most people, Kong Shin-mu had defected of his own accord. Only a few students from Donghuang Yonggu College knew that Kong Shin-mu had been forced to leave by Zhuo Xiaofeng. Fortunately, Zhuo Xiaofeng wasn't present now. Otherwise, Kong Shin-mu really didn't suspect that Zhuo Xiaofeng would tamper with the training. After leaving Donghuang Yonggu College, Zhuo Xiaofeng won't be able to control me anymore. Even if Zhuo Xiaofeng still wants to hinder me during this training, the seniors from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy won't just stand by and watch. Kong Shin-mu now had a sense of security that he didn't have when he was in Donghuang Yonggu College. This allowed him to focus all his attention on improving his strength, and not worry about other things. About 2 hours later, the training field finally quietened down. Just now, 3 students from the Fecta zone had gone up to fight the low-rank Devil General level Void demonic creatures. They seemed to be good friends. They had defeated the 3rd-tier Reincarnation Tribulation Realm low-rank Devil General, and lost to the 4th-tier middle-rank Devil General. Such a result was considered good among the students from the Fecta zone. However, the number of experience points they could obtain was only about the same as that of Kong Shin-mu and the other 2. It was just that they didn't reach the upper limit of the students from the Fecta zone. In terms of difficulty, if one only wanted to obtain the same amount of experience points, the more advantageous it was for the students in the outermost zone. It was just that there was a limit to the points that students in the outermost zone could obtain. When the 3 students from the Fecta zone finished their challenges, the field was finally empty. At this time, Kong Shin-mu decisively stepped forward, planning to follow up on his previous results and continue to challenge the 5th-tier middle-rank Devil Spirit. When Kong Shin-mu took the two girls to the field, the expressions of the surrounding people changed slightly, and they all paid attention to them. I heard that this Kong Shin-mu, as a student from the Yuhing zone, led a team to kill a 4th-tier middle-rank devil spirit, and it seemed to be very easy. This time, I want to see what kind of tricks this Kong Shin-mu has. The three of them seem to have improved. It shouldn't be a big problem to deal with a 5th-tier middle-rank devil spirit, right? Who knows? Anyway, the strongest students from the Yuhing zone of the 4 academies could only kill a 5th-tier middle-rank devil spirit. They were lucky enough to encounter a defense-type demonic creature, so they had a chance to kill the opponent. The surrounding people were all talking and pointing at Kong Shin-mu and the others. Many of these students weren't here last time. They heard about Kong Shin-mu's battle situation and the bet with Chu Qingyun. Now that the trial was about to end, many students came to watch the battle. This was because it would affect the situation of the academy tournament in the future. The students who obtained better results in this trial would definitely have a great breakthrough in the next academy tournament, so they needed to pay attention to them. This was related to the vital interests of every student, so it was also useful for them to observe the fighting methods of some powerhouses in advance. Even many students from the Yaoguang zone had the opportunity to directly enter the Kaiyang zone or even the Yuhing zone in the next school competition. Everything depended on their opponents and their own performance in the school competition. Chapter 44-20. Kong Shin-mu led the two girls into the arena. This was their second time going up. As students of the Yuhing district, they directly chose a 5th-tier reincarnation realm void monster as their opponent. This scene attracted the attention of many Dragon Warrior students who were watching the battle. Many students from the Yuhing district, Kaiyang district, and even the Migres district and Tianji district of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy felt a little nervous. After all, Kong Shin-mu and the other two were likely to be their opponents in the competition. Therefore, many people wanted to see the strength of Kong Shin-mu and the other two clearly. Chu Qingyun was also in the crowd. Seeing Kong Shin-mu enter the arena, Chu Qingyun's face was gloomy. Although he could not use the Great Desolate Demon Vanquishing Sword, it was still a heaven-level dragon weapon. He could exchange it for a lot of experience points. Losing to Kong Shin-mu just like that made him extremely unhappy. This was because after he lost the last time, he went back and scolded Zhuo Xiaofeng. Of course, now that the Void Rift had appeared and the Void Beasts were invading, Zhuo Xiaofeng had to guard the front line and had no time to teach him a lesson. He just scolded him and arranged some cultivation resources for him before leaving. These cultivation resources allowed Chu Qingyun to break through to the 1st tier of the reincarnation realm. However, Zhuo Xiaofeng was very depressed now. If he could not suppress Kong Shin-mu in this trial, the cultivation resources provided by Zhuo Xiaofeng would stop here. This was because Zhuo Xiaofeng had really given him a lot of cultivation resources in order to nurture him. These cultivation resources were equivalent to 5 years of consumption for ordinary Yuhing district students. In the end, he used them up in a few months. It was precisely because of this that Chu Qingyun's strength improved so quickly. If Zhuo Xiaofeng stopped providing cultivation resources, the speed of Chu Qingyun's strength improvement would suddenly plummet. He had just started to be called a super genius. If it was suddenly gone, one could imagine how depressed he would be. So if one had to say who was the most interested in the challenge of Kong Shin-mu's group of 3, then that would undoubtedly be Chu Qingyun. If Kong Shin-mu's team managed to kill a 5th-level Samsara Tribulation Realm middle-rank Devil Spirit, then they would be able to tie with Chu Qingyun. However, if Kong Shin-mu really managed to kill a 6th-level Samsara Tribulation Realm middle-rank Devil Spirit, then the situation would be very bad. Would Zhuo Xiaofeng continue to nurture Chu Qingyun? Impossible. It wasn't just that Chu Qingyun had lost to Kong Shin-mu, causing Donghuang Yongwu College and Zhuo Xiaofeng to lose face. The most important thing was that Chu Qingyun didn't have any value in continuing to be groomed. At this time, Chu Qingyun could be said to be nervous to the extreme. He had already used up the number of times he could challenge the monsters, a total of 3 times. No one could break this rule. Now, he had only killed a 5th-level Samsara Tribulation Realm middle-rank Devil Spirit. He had tried to kill a 6th-level Devil Spirit and was directly defeated. It was impossible for him to kill a 6th-level Devil Spirit. A 6th-level Devil Spirit is so strong. It's impossible for him to lose to that brat, Kong Shin-mu. That brat can't improve so quickly. Chu Qingyun clenched his teeth and thought to himself in the crowd. He didn't dare to be too conspicuous now. He had lost face last time, and Zhuo Xiaofeng had already warned him seriously. If he lost face outside again, then it wouldn't just end with him not being able to nurture him. Chu Qingyun didn't dare to imagine the consequences. So now, he didn't dare to show his face at all. He could only hide in the crowd and watch the situation. He pinned all his hopes on Kong Shinmu being unable to kill a 6th-level Samsara Tribulation Realm middle-rank devil spirit. Even many students of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy from the Yuhing District and Migres District were thinking the same. Because once Kong Shinmu killed a middle-rank devil spirit, then there might be 3 fewer students who could go to the Migres District in the following school competition. The difference in experience points obtained from killing a 6th-level devil spirit was huge. It could even be a difference of half. How much could those experience points increase the strength of Kong Shinmu and the other 2? It was simply unimaginable. So now, many people in the field were extremely nervous as they watched Kong Shinmu and the other 2 go up. A mid-rank devil spirit at the 5th level of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm is here. When Kong Shinmu and the other 2 transformed into dragons, a small void crack suddenly appeared in the training field. Then, a 6,000 feet long 3-eyed demon spirit appeared in everyone's vision. It's actually a 3-eyed demon spirit. This is a noble bloodline among the void demons. It's said that its combat strength is extremely strong at the same level and can even fight beyond its level. The last time Kong Shinmu and the other 2 challenged a 4th-level devil spirit, they defeated an opponent that could fight beyond their level. Now there's another one? This 3-eyed demon spirit is at the 5th level of the Samsara Tribulation Realm and can fight a 6th-level devil spirit. This Kong Shinmu's luck is really not too good. It's said that although the 3-eyed demon spirit is only a demon spirit, it can store the power of a demon general. Once that power is used, it can destroy heaven and earth. It's much stronger than ordinary demon spirits. Outside the field, everyone was talking about it. When Kong Shinmu saw the 3-eyed demon spirit, he was also shocked. Oh my, it's so powerful. This was because the opponent's power was a little violent. If he devoured all of it, he might not be able to withstand it. The 3-eyed demon spirit's attack was no joke. Even though Kong Shinmu had only devoured half of its power, he felt like he was about to lose consciousness. He hurriedly stopped devouring. The remaining power of the opponent's attack completely bombarded Kong Shinmu's black dragon body. However, a blood-red sword light suddenly exploded and appeared outside his divine dragon body, protecting his divine dragon body. That was the Great Desolate Devil Sword. Unfortunately, the Great Desolate Devil Sword had not completely merged with Kong Shinmu. Even if it had, with Kong Shinmu's current cultivation realm, he could not completely block the 3-eyed demon spirit's attack with the Great Desolate Devil Sword's power. Almost in an instant, after the Great Desolate Devil Sword had reduced the opponent's power by 30%, the opponent's attack directly landed on Kong Shinmu's divine dragon body. The terrifying corrosive power, even with Kong Shinmu's divine dragon body's resistance, instantly corroded a bloody hole. Instantly, he was seriously injured. I have to finish this quickly. However, if I use the opponent's attack to counterattack now, I will definitely not be able to kill the 3-eyed demon spirit. After all, I have only devoured half of its power. I have to lure it to attack me again, then devour half of its power. Only by joining forces can I possibly kill it. Kong Shinmu was extremely calm. Although his body was in unimaginable pain, he did not care. This 3-eyed demon spirit, he had to kill it. Otherwise, he would not be able to exchange for a high-grade source dragon martial skill, and he would need more time to earn experience points. Time was extremely precious to him, and he could not waste any of it. Chapter 44-22. It was obvious that the 3-eyed demon spirit didn't expect that it wouldn't be able to kill Kong Shinmu in one move. After it unleashed its strongest demonic technique on Kong Shinmu, it immediately turned around to deal with Xiao Yu and Hua Yu so that it could kill as many as it could. But when it turned around, it discovered that the black dragon warrior it had attacked was still alive. What's going on? The 3-eyed demon spirit was dumbfounded, but it still reacted quickly. It could sense that although the black dragon martialist wasn't dead, he was in a seriously injured state. It only needed one more attack to finish off the black dragon martialist. Although it wouldn't have time to deal with the other two girls after killing the black dragon, it was still surprising that the black dragon, who was only at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, was able to withstand its full-force attack. This meant that the black dragon was an extremely important existence among the dragon warriors. Once such an existence grew up, it would be a great threat to the void monster race. If it wasn't eliminated, it was very likely that it would become a great threat to the void monster race in the future. Therefore, when the three-eyed demon spirit saw that Kong Shinmu wasn't dead, it immediately regarded him as its greatest enemy. This kid must be killed. Even if it didn't kill the other two girls, it had to kill Kong Shinmu. Otherwise, there would be endless trouble in the future. Just as the three-eyed demon spirit was thinking about this, its next wave of attack erupted. It was a monstrous demonic aura that turned into a demonic storm that enveloped Kong Shinmu at the fastest speed possible. This was an extremely powerful demonic technique. The terrifying demonic technique of the void monster was comparable to a high-grade origin dragon martial technique. When it was unleashed, the demonic aura instantly swept through the entire area and descended upon Kong Shinmu. At this moment, Kong Shinmu had only made the decision to take another attack from the three-eyed demon spirit, but the attack had already arrived. The three-eyed demon spirit speed was just too fast. It was so fast that Kong Shinmu couldn't react in time. Fortunately, his devouring dragon mark covered his entire body. When the opponent's devil chi storm swept over, Kong Shinmu once again devoured half of the opponent's attack power, and then the other half bombarded Kong Shinmu's body. Even the great wilderness demon rinsing sword did not have time to recover. The power of the great desolate demon sweeping sword had just been shattered. It would take some time for it to gather up again. However, the three-eyed demon spirit did not give Kong Shinmu any time to do so. It immediately launched a storm of attacks. The remaining half of its power condensed into a boundless demonic aura storm and bombarded Kong Shinmu's divine dragon body. Under normal circumstances, Kong Shinmu would have no chance of surviving after suffering two such attacks in a row. If it was any other dragon warrior in the Yuhing district, it would be impossible for them to survive. However, Kong Shinmu was different. This was because, when he took the opponent's attack just now, Kong Shinmu's divine dragon body had already strengthened its resistance to devil chi because of the devouring power. Kong Shinmu had not come into contact with the devil chi power that belonged to the void demons for a while. Therefore, the battle half a month ago did not have any effect on him now. If I had known this earlier, I would have dealt with a fourth heaven intermediate demon spirit first. Kong Shinmu thought to himself. If that was the case, he would not have suffered such a serious injury at all. Of course, it was still okay now. The situation was not so bad that it could not be salvaged. Because of Kong Shinmu's devouring power, his resistance to the devil chi power had suddenly increased to an extremely high level. When the opponent's second attack landed on Kong Shinmu's body, although it was stronger than the first attack, the damage Kong Shinmu suffered was not as serious as the first attack. The dark dragon art of filth resistance quickly took effect and healed Kong Shinmu's serious injuries. At the same time, when the opponent's second attack landed, his injuries only worsened by 30%. It was not enough to completely kill him. His black dragon body was like a steel fortress that could not be broken no matter what, flying proudly in the center of the battlefield. I've already devoured the power of the two attacks. I'm going to attack now. After devouring half of the opponent's second attack, Kong Shinmu did not think and immediately attacked the three-eyed demon spirit. The three-eyed demon spirit launched its second attack. Before it could discover that Kong Shinmu was still alive, it was faced with an even stronger explosion of devil chi. The wave of devil chi that Kong Shinmu released was the combination of the three-eyed demon spirit's previous two attacks. The vast devil chi sea and the violent devil chi storm intertwined with each other and descended in front of the three-eyed demon spirit at an extremely terrifying speed. The three-eyed demon spirit's reaction was considered very fast, but it did not immediately discover that the devil chi power was used by Kong Shinmu to attack it. It was only a little confused. Didn't it just release this power on its own? Why did it reappear in the battlefield now? However, it quickly sensed that something was wrong. Its reaction speed was not slow, but Kong Shinmu's counterattack this time came from its own attack. Its attack speed was too fast. By the time the three-eyed demon spirit sensed that something was wrong, it was already too late to dodge. The endless devil chi sea and devil chi storm rolled over from the void and completely drowned it in an instant. At the same time, Great desolate devil sword. Ask flowers but don't speak crimson river. Heaven-splitting ice slash. The attacks of Kong Shinmu and the other two also erupted at this moment and descended on the three-eyed demon spirit. The eruption of the three attacks instantly shook away the devil chi in the battlefield. The battlefield that was originally covered by the devil chi suddenly became clear, and the dragon martialists outside could see the situation clearly. This is impossible. When they saw the situation clearly, everyone was dumbfounded, especially Chu Qingyun, who was hiding in the crowd, who screamed involuntarily. No one had expected to see such an outcome in front of them. They had originally thought that given the three-eyed demon spirit's strength, it could completely crush one of them and force the other two to give up. However, it seemed that they had been too naive. The three-eyed demon spirit's three eyes were each struck by the attacks of Kong Shinmu and the other two. Its three eyes instantly exploded. It did not seem to have put up any defenses, and it was blasted apart by the attacks of Kong Shinmu and the other two. Its entire body seemed to have been shattered, and it disintegrated in the training field, turning into a corroded piece of pitch-black debris. The three-eyed demon spirit had been completely destroyed. That terrifying 600-meter-long demon body had actually been completely shattered. This scene completely exceeded the imagination of the dragon martialists outside. This was impossible. Combined with the power of the great wilderness demon vanquishing sword, Kong Shinmu's attack directly blasted the already heavily injured three-eyed demon spirit into pieces. In reality, the attacks of the three were only embellishments, or rather, a foil. The main power that truly killed the three-eyed demon spirit was the two types of demonic chi that came from its own body. In order to quickly kill Kong Shinmu, the three-eyed demon spirit immediately unleashed its strongest demonic technique. Unfortunately, this strongest demonic technique was devoured by Kong Shinmu and killed the three-eyed demon spirit itself. The three-eyed demon spirit's guess was right. If Kong Shinmu were to develop and mature, he would definitely become a great enemy of the void beasts. However, it was a pity that it had no way of sending this news back to its tribe. After killing the three-eyed demon spirit, Kong Shinmu would definitely rise to become an even stronger existence. Kong Shinmu felt that if he met such an opponent again, it would be impossible for him to even be seriously injured. This was because he planned to cultivate a high-grade source dragon martial technique. Next. In the field, Kong Shinmu did not care about how amazed the people outside were. He directly requested to deal with the next one. That was the limit of Yuhing District students. A 6th-level reincarnation tribulation realm middle-rank demon spirit. Any one of them would be comparable to the three-eyed demon spirit just now, or perhaps even stronger. Of course, Kong Shinmu could even kill the three-eyed demon spirit, so it should not be a problem for him to deal with another opponent of similar strength. However, when the crowd looked at the field, it was obvious that Kong Shinmu was now seriously injured. His entire body was drenched in blood, and his flesh was flying everywhere. This was a serious injury caused by the demonic chi's corrosion. Although he was recovering relatively quickly, was it really possible for him to deal with a 6th-level reincarnation tribulation realm middle-rank demon spirit? This is challenging the limit.